before, there's like 10 players-ish that are actually at a podium, and then some of the other ones are kind of wandering around. That might be your opportunity, Nick. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. Thanks for your support, guys.
Big moment. You're welcome, man.
It is. And it is a big moment. I know you're being sarcastic. You want to be funny, but it is a big moment. Take it seriously.
I'm looking forward to Chris in Overland Park joining us coming up at 10:30. Chris in Overland Park was at the Chiefs game.
For the very first time.
Yeah, Chris's first game, and I hear he had a great time. I hear he's going to be in Arizona, obviously, as well. Chris is well-traveled. So we'll talk to Chris.
Nice job.
We'll talk to Chris, who knows a little thing about NFL. Also, I think he's pretty good at baseball. He'll join us at 10:30. And then Nate Taylor in the 1 o'clock hour. But Brett Veach, who was kind of on the podium on Sunday, and he's kind of off to the right. He was behind Kelsey and all them. Like, if you're watching the ceremony, of course, there's Andy Reid there with Jim Nantz. Andy Reid's got his wife. You got Clark Hunt and his wife right there. You got Mark Donovan right in the backdrop there. But over kind of tucked in the corner, he wasn't as visible, was the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, Brett Veach. And think about how much he had to do with what occurred on Sunday night in that win. Brett Veach goes out, we all know, and trades Tyreek Hill first and foremost. Risky move, right?
Sure.
Bold move. Moving on from a guy that was going to be an Offensive Player of the Year candidate, ends up probably going to finish second behind Justin Jefferson. We'll see. And brings in Juju, brings in MVS, and we'll get to their production a little bit later. But the Chiefs utilized their draft picks. They had the second most rookies playing in football games in the regular season, 154 in terms of combined games played. And they've used 10 rookies in both of their playoff games. And we know 2 of the 7th-rounders started in the football game that led you to an AFC Championship. Not to mention the first-rounders, Trent McDuffie locked down Jamar Chase when he was matched up with him. George Karlaftis gets a big sack. Yes, this is a Brett Veach appreciation segment to start the show today. That's exactly what I'm getting at. The way they assembled this roster. This is how, Cody, the stat you bring up multiple times about cap hits and how much can a team win with a quarterback that takes up so much cap space. This is how you do it. You have 7th-round picks that are starting. You have both your first-round rookies on rookie deals that are making huge impacts in the football game.
10 rookies. I mean, 20%? 20% of your whole roster is dedicated to rookies? And I know you're mentioning like 2 7th-rounders starting, but that's in a weird way like underselling just how many rookies are starting. Because 2 7th-rounders are Jalen Watson and Isaiah Pacheco, but then Trent McDuffie also starts, and so does George Karlaftis. But, I know it's a rotational thing, but he's essentially a full-time player as well. You're like, they got like 5 full-time rookies getting regular snaps, and then these other guys just filling in. A lot of this is a big compliment to Brett Veach, but I think it's why this step back never happened. Like, for all the conversations that I thought were fair going into the year, they're going to have to rebound because they're letting go of Tyreek Hill, they're taking these draft picks, and they're going to make themselves better in the long term. It's almost impossible. No team in the NFL relied on rookies more than this team. There are teams who played rookies a little bit more. There are only 2 or 3, by the way. From a total snaps percentage, there are 2 or 3 teams that played rookies more than the Chiefs. They're all losing teams, bad teams, teams that don't matter. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, even with all of those players. Now, it helps that Patrick Mahomes had an MVP season. If he didn't have an MVP quality season, maybe the rookies aren't enough to get them over the hump. But because you have Andy Reid, because you have Patrick Mahomes, you can play football like this every once in a while. And the exciting part is that means you got at least 3 more years of this group before you have to pay anybody. What happens if you hit on one other rookie somewhere along the way? This kind of draft, this draft and the draft the year before, having those 2 hits in a row means you can make so many mistakes and it's not going to burn you. Because drafts are inconsistent. The odds of Brett Veach having a draft this good or as good as the one the year before are low. But it doesn't matter because he hit these so well, he's got all the runway in the world to protect himself.
It's that, and we mentioned him, but think about the scouting department. I know they don't get mentioned nearly as much, but like their ability clearly to evaluate talent, like you're in a great spot. Like this is why you feel great about the long-term future too. It's not just hey, your general manager is pushing the right buttons and everything, but clearly there is a rhyme and reason to how you have evaluated said players, whether it's Watson or
Especially corners.
Joshua Williams, yeah, and
Snead.
The scouting department clearly knows what they're looking for and what they want to see, and it's translating to the NFL. And the coach, it's a whole team effort. I get the coaches get credit for getting them ready to roll. We've seen that it's now paid off that the rookies played so much early on in the year in the corner in the secondary. Because guess what? Joshua Williams hadn't played a whole lot until Sunday, but he had played a lot earlier in the year. So that experience paid off in the AFC title game. But I think the scouting department clearly, long term, you're in a great spot because they're able to evaluate talent as much as it's key to make the right trade, to make sure you're not giving a contract to a wrong individual, whatever it may be. As important as that is, they have something going in terms of how they're scouting and evaluate talent coming out of college. And that's what you should have the most faith in right now. As much as it is, hey, willing to be aggressive and bold and trade away a guy like Tyreek Hill to set yourself up better for the future and making sure, and look, there are free agent acquisitions this past offseason. Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS. Yeah, MVS, maybe during the regular season, you're like, okay, he was what you thought, but we'll get to him a little bit later on in the show. Like, in a huge game, he steps up. I mean, and so right now, every button they're pushing is working pretty damn good. They got some tough decisions this offseason, but to your point about flexibility that you've given yourself. In the draft, let's say they got, 12 picks, I think it is, in this upcoming draft in May, something like that?
Yeah.
Or 10 picks, something like that.
4 projected to be in the 7th round.
Fine. But let's say only 2.
Which, by the way, can't even joke about that really after this year.
Let's say only 2 of them actually end up ever playing significant time in Kansas City. Which right now you're like, well, that's disappointing. That's, by the way, more of how it usually goes.
But it's 3 for the previous draft, or 2 drafts ago, and it's 5 for this draft, right? So none of it matters if he hits at this rate, well, then they're going to be a dynasty.
If he keeps
at this rate, he's going to be the single greatest GM in NFL history. But it's this kind of success rate. But that's what put it all together. It's what stopped them from doing it. Sometimes it surprises me a little bit more that they don't get more people from their front office stolen. I know Ryan Poles left for the Chicago job last year, but I'm surprised more people don't come picking around their organization, because it's easy to be like, and maybe this is the Mahomes thing too. The other guys who are working for the Chiefs are like, they got Mahomes. It's easy to make them look good. It's not easy. To be very clear, it's not easy to take 10 rookies in an AFC title game roster and win. That's not supposed to be easy. Cincinnati had to have the number 1 overall pick and a top 5 pick in the NFL draft in order to get their 2 best players. They didn't get to pick those guys in the end of the first round. Like T. Higgins, one of their better players. He was taken at the very beginning of the second. But it's these guys aren't from the 4th or 5th or 6th. Cincinnati's loaded with top-end talent that was all taken near the top end of the draft. The Chiefs, for several years now, have found their best players anywhere from the 2nd to 7th round. They're starting running back, a starting corner in the 7th this year. They're starting center and linebacker in the 2nd round last year. They have consistently, L'Jarius Sneed is a 4th round pick. He's one of their starting corners. They have done a better job than anyone in the league at consistently finding starting caliber players at parts of the draft that are day 2 or day 3.
And once you have the quarterback figured out, you can focus in everywhere else, and that's exactly what they've been able to do. I'm trying to remember too.
That, the rookies will get. You mentioned Brock Purdy's they're going to turn into a pumpkin. You ever worry about this with a bunch of rookies? 10 rookies in a Super Bowl, man. You said it was going to clock strikes midnight, right? Is the Brock Purdy argument?
Yeah, but you're not.
Never worry. Clock strikes midnight with 10 rookies on your roster.
They're not. They're at the quarterback position. I do more because it's the quarterback
versus corner.
Yeah,
or.
Yeah, I think
running back or whatever. Running back, who cares? That's never been the case.
To answer your question, no, I'm not as concerned about that because one, they've all played a good chunk of time this year, but it's not the quarterback. Yeah, but no, not really. Purdy played in 7 games. All these everybody Pacheco's played in more than 7 games. Joshua Williams played in more. We can go down the list. It's the quarterback position. Is vital in trying to jump in as a 4th-string quarterback. That would be more concerning about the clock striking midnight, if you will, versus a corner. By the way, it doesn't mean those guys haven't all made mistakes throughout the year, too. We've talked about that.
Sure.
I think that's where it paid off, again, that they had guys like Joshua Williams having to play earlier in the year, because let's not forget, in Arizona, the same building that they're about to go to again for the Super Bowl, Trent McDuffie got hurt, and he didn't play for, 6 games or something like that after the fact. That made it so Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams had to play more. That actually may have helped them in the AFC title game in a weird way. That those guys were forced to play earlier on in the season and building it up. Like, truly, it sounds cliche, but like, truly, the process of get this thing in the best position possible by the time you actually need it in the postseason, and willing to kind of take your lumps, if you will, with some of the rookies. I mean, heck, that was the whole point of the redemption to a certain extent with Sky Moore. He came up in a big game.
He hasn't even mattered for them as a rookie this year, but he mattered in the game.
He did. Guys stepped up. I mean, that's
because Sky Moore hasn't mattered to them. Like, if anything, he's been a net loss, right, on the year. He wasn't really a factor in the wide receiver game. He missed a little bit of time. And in the punt return game, he was a negative asset. Yeah. But because he returned those kicks, like you said, he gets to show up in an AFC title game, having done it somewhere along the way, and have the single biggest return of the year.
Well, when you have Andy Reid as your head coach and who continued to say, hey, I've got confidence in you, even if we all know everything was being said outside the organization. Well, I've got confidence in you. If you're a rookie like Sky Moore and you are sitting there and you have Andy Reid, who is going to go down as one of the 5 greatest coaches of all time, potentially, especially if he gets another ring.
The second best coach of all time, yeah.
If he gets another ring, he's gonna be in that. Right now, by the way, he just passed Don Shula as the second highest win total in postseason history, second most postseason wins, I should say, in NFL history. That's where Andy Reid sits right now before he has an opportunity to win another ring, which of course will take place in a couple Sundays. But when you are a rookie and you have Andy Reid telling you he's still confident in you, that has to go a very, very long way. And Andy even yesterday talked just about reflecting a little bit. We all know Andy Reid going to go up against his former team. He spent 14 years in Philadelphia. He's already been 10 in Kansas City. Like, if things continue going forward, there's no reason to believe that he won't be able to get to 14 in Kansas City as well if he wants to.
I would never leave this job if I were Andy.
Yeah, we've always talked about, like, with his longevity for him, it's as long as he feels he can continue to do it, why on earth would you not?
I think that the interesting part about him talking about it yesterday is the way he talked about the end, where he said, I think we both know that the time had gone up. We could all use a fresh start, and it was going to be better for everybody if we got a fresh start. I'm like, is that going to happen in Kansas City? Because 14 years is a long time, as the way he put it, right? That's a long time to spend with one organization. And then I thought, no way, because there are some very key notable differences. One, as we had just mentioned, quarterback. Having Patrick Mahomes, would that make you want to run out the door cold? Would you ever be like, you know what, I'm kind of worn out. We could use a fresh start. What? He wants to go to some other organization and, like, make Derek Carr look good? I don't think so. And then the other part of it that I think is going to be the most interesting, like, from this perspective, is Andy has never failed here. I think part of the reason that when you got to Philadelphia, you're like, hey, the ship has sailed, is he was a general manager. He was doing both. They had some losing seasons. And I do think that the shine had worn off to the point that it felt like it wasn't the same as it was in the beginning. His worst season in Kansas City is what? 9 wins? That's as bad as he's ever done? Feels like to me that if he got to 20 years, they wouldn't be like, wow, that was too long in one city. Andy Reid's finishing his career in Kansas City, right? He's never going to coach anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's been decided for years. I don't think that's even the question is just like, how long is he going to stay as a head coach? Yeah, of course, this is his final destination, if you will. So like that's been solidified for probably 6 years.
I guess some of this is coming down to the same thing. It's like, how long do we think Andy's going to be here? Because the way he's reflecting on Philadelphia and getting burnt out on it, it's like, what does it take to be burnt out by an organization? And it doesn't seem like, to me, anytime Andy talks about the job, I never get any sense that he's close to retiring. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe he's going to win a second Super Bowl and he's going to John Elway his way out of town. I guess we'll have to have that conversation after he wins it, but I don't think so.
Again, I'll go back. The only time that I think it comes up is if there's a health hindrance ever that impacts his ability to continue. That's it. Like, as long as that's not the problem, then I expect him to still be coaching the Kansas City Chiefs.
What if Philly makes him an offer he can't refuse?
I'm dealing in realistic scenarios.
How is Philly the only NFL team of all of them? The only NFL team would be like, we can have different coaches and quarterbacks, and it's fine. We'll just go to the Super Bowl. That doesn't make sense. That nobody does that plan. You're like, we don't care. It's like 15 years we've had 3 different quarterbacks and 3 different coaches, and they all go to the Super Bowl. You're like, it's a weird strategy.
Pittsburgh had a little stretch there.
Yeah, but it was the same quarterback, though. It was at least always Ben Roethlisberger, It was two different coaches. It was Cowher and Tomlin, but they're doing it to a much heightened sense of that. They had Reid, McNabb, they had Peterson and Foles, and now they have Sirianni and Hurts.
What if it's just like good management?
Well, I'm sure having a good GM has something to do with it.
Being Howie Roseman has anything to do with it.
Yes, but here's the thing, Nick. I don't feel like even if you're the world's greatest GM, it's all that easy to say, hey, we're going to make you have 3 different coaches and 3 different quarterback combinations to get to the Super Bowl. I think the key is probably he never just like settles in. Like if his quarterback's not good enough, he's like, well, we can't live here forever with Nick Foles. This is not going to work. Or Carson Wentz, right? This is untenable. We got to get somebody else in at quarterback, so we're going to keep taking shots at it until we find a dude.
It sounds like when you go back and kind of look at how they got to this point, it was the owner who came in and said, "Let's build around this Jalen Hurts guy for a year and see what we've got there." 'Cause I don't think the organization was committed to him. I know we're getting off track here, but that's how. Blind luck.
A lot of this, but that goes back to the Andy thing. Part of the reason he'll stay here forever is that he doesn't have to do both jobs, Nick. It's easier for Sirianni and Andy Reid and those guys if Howie Roseman does the heavy lifting, right? Like, how many times has Andy Reid said this year, like, I leave that up to Brett, or, I want to compliment Brett for doing those things? He doesn't want to worry about that. He wants to very simply just sit around, hang out, think about cool plays to design on his note cards, and then call an NFL football game. I don't think he wants to worry about trying to get Chris Lamons through the waivers anymore, because that used to be Andy's job. Think about caring about that when you have to prepare.
It's not even
for important NFL games.
I don't think it's even about caring about it. It's also it puts you in a different spot in terms of your relationship with the players. If you're the coach, but you're also in charge of personnel movement. If you're even if you're having a say in it, but the difference of you actually acting as the general manager, I think it can probably cause some issues with relationships with your own players. And so that hopefully is something that obviously in other situations across the NFL doesn't come up. That's not your problem in Kansas City.
Yeah, well, you're the person who's saying, I won't give you a raise, but then also have to coach them. There's this is the thing that I never, and I know that this is, again, off track a little, but this is why someone has to tell Bill Belichick you can't be the GM anymore. You can't do that job anymore, man. So I was like, oh,
you said someone. There's only one person that can tell him that.
Well, Robert Kraft should probably tell him
that is the only person in New England that can tell Belichick.
Dude, it'd be a lot easier to tell him that, seeing how he doesn't have a winning record in New England when the quarterback is not Tom Brady. Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl. I'd be like, look, man, you know what? You don't get to do both. No more de facto GM. Put someone in charge. They're in charge of roster stuff so that you can worry about coaching, something you are obviously incredible at. And I feel like that's been a huge boost for Andy. That's like the whole second career revival thing.
Chris at Overland Park is going to join us coming up in about 10 minutes or so. He knows a lot about football. He also is pretty good at playing the sport of baseball. So that's coming up in just a little bit. But there is someone that quietly, I don't think is getting maybe enough attention, understandably so, because Chris Jones was incredible. Patrick Mahomes was incredible on Sunday night. But out of nowhere, seemingly, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS, comes up and by far had one of the best games of his NFL career, point blank, not just in Kansas City. 6 catches, $116, a touchdown, and of course he was their number one option at times outside of Kelsey when Tony's out and Hardman's out and Juju's out. I mean, it's Marcus Kemp, MVS, and Sky Moore as the wide receivers on the field, and he stepped up and he was able to get separation throughout the game. We mentioned in the AFC title game a year ago, nobody could seemingly get separation, right? That was a huge problem.
Yeah. Massive issue.
MVS was able, in crucial spots, was able to do it. Now, the touchdown he caught was an unbelievable play by Patrick Mahomes just to extend it, but still, he had to find a way to get open. And he had his way against Eli Apple throughout the contest. And that was a big moment for me. It shows that, any talk about the contract that he's currently on, which, remember, is a 3-year contract, but they could get out of it a lot earlier. I think
this year get out of it if they wanted to.
I think seeing him step up in that way, and also it's not like he had a bad season. He didn't end up.
He was just fine. He was exactly what he was in Green Bay.
We can put anything to me to rest of the thought that they would get out of the deal after 1 year. I think that seriously, that game, and also I didn't think he had a bad year to begin with. But
they paid for what he was.
That performance in the AFC title game, I think that should end any talk for the fan base of, oh, you know what, maybe they should get out of this after 1 year. I think that would be crazy.
I think I was really impressed with him. I'll tell you this. I don't think the same thing. We had this conversation. It's funny. We brought him up. And I told you that if at any point he did this kind of game, would it change my opinion on him? No. He is still who he is. I'm not going to go into next year and be like, what if he could turn into a 950-yard wide receiver and try to, take his career a place that it isn't? because he is who he is, and he's fine. That's okay. It's not like having a rostered player who is and lives up to reasonable expectations is a bad thing.
Yeah, but he showed he can step up, though.
In a playoff game, that's what I care about.
We hadn't seen that before.
Well, we saw it once for Green Bay in a loss to the Bucs. I went back through his entire playoff log. He had a 6-catch, 115-yard, 1-touchdown game against there. And then his other 3 playoff games, he combined for 47 yards in the other 3. So he is boom or bust. That is MVS in a nutshell. The key is that when they needed the boom, they could go to him a lot. And the thing we know about him, he can beat single high. He can beat single coverage all day long. And because Travis Kelce is still on this roster, because that's what this comes down to, you can get as much single coverage as you want. But this was a massive game for him. And
zero
his
drops.
Contract in Kansas City.
Zero drops in the game. That's what also allowed you to have that. That was, I think, a really promising performance. As you said, it's not as if suddenly you think MVS can be a 1,000-yard receiver next year. No. But he made some big-time plays in big-time spots. And, look, they might, depending on the health of a couple of these other wide receivers in 2 weeks in Arizona, they might need MVS to have another huge game if they have any chance to beat Philadelphia. If Juju's not available, McColl, Kadarius, that's all stuff that we'll find out more as the week goes on, and probably have to wait till next week really to have a good feel on the injury status for some of those guys.
Just a reminder, MVS could be cut for just $4 million.
Yeah,
that's all it would cost the team.
I think that
$4 million to cut him. It's $11 million to keep him. You'd save $7 million by letting him go, and then the following year you'd save $12 million by letting him go. He's bought himself at least a year.
That's what I'm saying. I think it'd be a big mistake to move. Also, let's just be honest.
Have we seen what wide receivers are getting paid right now?
Well,
this feels like a steal all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's that, Cody, and the fact that look who's under contract at wide. I mean, right next year it's Tony, Sky Moore, and MVS. And then, if you want to include the futures contract guys, fine. The Justin Rosses and John Rosses of the world. But really, you're talking about Sky Moore and MVS and Kadarius Toney as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that will probably be something.
The MVS will be on this team next year.
I mean, for the price, this is the benefit. It's like you'd kind of wish you'd gotten Juju to a long-term deal because the wide receiver numbers have gotten so big. $11 million might be what it costs you to get McCole Hardman this offseason. And MVS, at least in this setting, has proven as valuable as that, right? And he's had some more consistent career years, even if their upper end potential is the same.
Our NFL playoff coverage brought to you by Metro Ford. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. Up next, we get to our NFL insider. He's Chris in Overland Park. He also plays some pretty good baseball as well. Next.
This is Cody in Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. This football season with Cody in Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
Call 913-363-9439. That's 913-363-9439. 913-363-9439. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome.
Experience the future of connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivering the fastest speeds in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum store today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charging not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Visit Shane Company. You'll get a great value on fine jewelry created by our in-house designers, and you'll meet the friendliest jewelry consultants around. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation, and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want your straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Secrets, cover-ups, and strange phenomena.
UFOs and ideas that challenge reality itself.
My name is George Knapp. I dig into news stories that others can't or won't.
I'm Jeremy Corbell, and for some reason, people tell me things they probably shouldn't. And this is Weaponized. Follow and listen to Weaponized, the presentation of Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Dark Horse Entertainment, and Cadence 13 Studios. Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So, if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast, even if your symptoms feel mild. Ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Now, joining Cody and Gold.
Hey, it's a beautiful Tuesday morning, let me tell you that.
It's your 2022 VinFL Insider.
Are his hands going to get any bigger?
Royals first baseman, Vinnie Pasquantino.
As a potential future Chiefs fan, we hate the Broncos.
Chris in Overland Park, actually, it's not who's joining us currently. I hear he had a great time at Arrowhead for the first time ever. How was it?
Well, first I need to say two things before we start.
Okay.
I would like to officially apologize to all of the people of Kansas City.
Oh.
Because I made a grave mistake on Sunday evening. I tweeted out and said Red Kingdom instead of Chiefs Kingdom. And I need to formally, publicly apologize for the grievance that I have, for the transgressions that I have done. So I officially apologize to all of the people of Kansas City, to the Chiefs players, to everybody there. I'm so sorry that I referred to you as Red Kingdom instead of Chiefs Kingdom. I will never, ever do that again.
I think you're good anyway because everybody's in a great mood because the Chiefs won. That was the time.
Time for forgiveness.
Yeah, if you were ever to make a mistake, that game and this weekend was it because everybody's in an A+ mood right now, ready for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And the second thing I need to say is thank you to both Cody, Alex, Nick/610 Sports Show, Steven Spector, and Allison from the Odyssey sales team for taking care of me this weekend. What an unbelievable time. Arrowhead was rocking. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And we're rolling to Arizona next week.
Okay, so what's your plan? Before we talk about what happened in the two games as our VinFL Insider, what is your plan? I feel like it is a rare case that everyone's going to be sitting in Arizona with the Super Bowl up the block. Are there a group of paying to the game?
I have no idea. I've talked to a few guys about it. Phones are in use, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm working on it myself. Everybody's just trying to figure out. It's the biggest ticket in town, and we're trying to find a way to get some.
I've thought about a good idea. I think Grinke should just pop for everybody. I think Grinke's made the most money on the team. I think Grinke should just buy for everyone.
Welcome back, Zach. Here is your price of admission. I doubt that will be happening. But, hey, you never know. It's a crazy world that we live in.
Maybe just feeling generous. It's getting towards the end of his career. He's just like, you know what? I want to do this for all these guys.
Yep, I don't know if I'd be somebody he'd purchase a ticket for, but hey, you never know. I'm sure he has a pitching staff to take care of. He's got to do what he's got to do,
Yeah, now, Vinny, you also, before even you went to Arrowhead on Sunday, you had quite the weekend. You were down in San Antonio. I think it was at the Alamo Dome. You were there for Royal Rumble. So you just had a fantastic weekend. How was that?
It was unbelievable. Shout out to the WWE for making that happen. There's a few other people behind the scenes that I thanked a bunch privately that I won't do publicly, but it was unbelievable. It was a first-class treatment, car service, that kind of a little bit of the backstage. It was just It was unbelievable. It was definitely a really special weekend, and I'm just a very, very lucky man.
Vinny, what did you think of Arrowhead for the first time? I think it's one of those places, it's got NFL lore to it, right? People say it's loud. People talk about those things from the outside, but actually being in the building for the first time, what did you make of it?
Yeah, so you're right about that. It's like a myth. Like the Arrowhead is just one big giant myth, I think, just of how loud it is. I mean, it's the loudest stadium in the league, and so I don't think there's any way to actually prepare for that. I really don't know how opposing quarterbacks get play calls off. I really don't understand how they do it. I understand that they train it, but I don't understand how, especially in the shotgun, they're able to communicate at all. So yeah, it's just definitely a really special game, and it was the fans are hilarious. There was one guy in the section that I was in. There was one drive where the Chiefs went 3 and out, and they threw the ball all 3 times. It was in the first half, and one guy near me was calling for Andy Reid's job. He called him a few explicits, called him large, and said that he should be fired because of that. And I would probably make the case that he should not be fired. So that being in the stands is just is really cool.
We've made you pay more attention to Chiefs football this year. What's been the most impressive thing about following the team this year and them getting to the Super Bowl?
I think just how impressive they are. They're just so good. They're so good, and being led by 15 and 87 is just really special to have. And coming from somebody who is working on being a Chiefs fan and follows another team, that's really special. And you guys are in a really good spot. I think it's really funny. I'm not sure in a good or bad way that I've seen a bunch on Twitter of people who cover either the Chiefs or the game of football or talk in Kansas City taking a victory lap around the city of Cincinnati pretty much. I know there was a lot going on. It's just really funny seeing the victory lap everybody's taking. We're all happy that the Chiefs came out with a win.
Yeah, I was curious how you saw that because we know the Chiefs, for the most part, leading up to the game, kind of just kept their mouth shut while Cincinnati and their mayor and their players were opening their mouth and obviously very confident to a point of being arrogant, I would say, heading in. And then after the game, we obviously know the Chiefs players were well aware of everything that was said, and then Kelsey and just go down the list of players were quick to point out everything that was said. As an athlete, I'm just curious, how do you block that out? But deep down, you still know everything that's being said.
Yeah, I think typically the way that I do it is I try not to talk about other people. I'm sure in my life I've had a few moments where, confidence or cockiness gets the best of me and I mention other people, but I think for me at least, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else, the best way I try to do it is just be confident in my own game and then go play the game. You never want to put yourself in a position where your back's almost up against the wall because of something that you said. That's kind of the worst place to be in because at the end of the day, you have to go perform. And if you don't perform well enough, it doesn't even really matter how well you individually perform. If your team wins or loses, that's all that matters. So, that's why certain players get away with being able to talk sometimes. I'm just happy for the Chiefs. And, Travis Kelce's line was – the funniest video was when Mahomes was giving his interview and he was, giving the Lord his praise, and then Kelce just runs in there and he's tackling. That's just a really funny representation of just kind of sports in general. And it was, it was a really cool game, and I'm just so fortunate to have been there.
Speaking to our VNFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. Vinnie, so there was a lot of talk about the refereeing in the game against Cincinnati. Carl Sheffers is the referee of the Super Bowl who has a long history with Kansas City. What are your current feelings as our VNFL insider of the state of refereeing in the NFL?
I don't care. I know that sounds really bad, and it's been a lot of talk, and I texted you about it yesterday to see if I could get a reaction, and I think I did a little bit. So all that talk was going on about the referees from the game, which, by the way, I didn't, because I was at the game and I don't know all that much about football other than just being a fan. I had no idea that really any of that was going on. I wasn't keeping track of who was getting penalties and who wasn't. So I didn't know that was happening. But I did know that you guys were already talking about the Super Bowl referees last week. So I texted Cody yesterday. I said, with all this talk about referees going on, I see everybody in Kansas City is upset with the talk. How do you feel that you guys have been talking about the Super Bowl referees? And I got a laundry list back of ways that he has messed up the Chiefs before. So, I don't care. I really don't care.
I stand by that. Carl Sheffers is wrong, does. What's funny is all the baseball guys that I used to have issue with, they're all slowly leaving baseball. So I can't even text you about those guys anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the tough part is I'm not going to sit here and say that, officials don't need to be better or anything because everybody needs to be at the top of their game, especially at the highest level of the sport. It is really hard. We all are aware of that. But you know what you're getting, nobody's begging people to be referees. No. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's you need to be a professional. You need to do the best the best you possibly can. Sometimes you don't have it that night. It just seems as if, especially in football, there's so many different ways of, I hear it all the time. I don't know for a fact, but they hold on every play. So what makes you call it sometimes? What makes you not call it sometimes? And we're all in agreement that the last play, that was a roughing. or an unnecessary roughness, whatever they call it. Like, the guy knew it. And I think everybody kind of felt for the guy, but at the end of the day, he made a mistake, and that happens in sport. So I just hope I hope the Super Bowl goes off without a hitch when it comes to officials, and it's just two really good football teams battling it out.
Yeah, Vin, this is Carl Cheffers. This is the moment that has really prompted everybody to hate him.
There's no foul in play for a block in the back. Timeout.
He was crying, yeah. Vinny. He was crying while announcing that there was no penalty.
Hey, man, the referees are people too, They're just trying to do their job. And, sometimes the fans just get on you too much, and you just need to have a good cry. Hopefully in the Super Bowl, you've got Philly fans and Kansas City fans. I don't think his job's going to be any very easy with those two fan bases. And I'm just excited for Carl to get back up on the horse and see what he's got during the Super Bowl.
Vinny, when's the last time you cried? I mean, you talking about Shepard's like, do you have a good cry every once in a while?
Cry every day. Try to laugh, cry, and what's the other thing?
Live?
Live, yeah. I just try to show my emotions in any way possible at any given time. So, God, when was the last time I cried? That's a really good question. Maybe, you know what? Not to sound like it, but I think the day that I got engaged, I cried. That might be the last day.
There you go.
Play this back for your fiance later. That's a very good answer.
Which, by the way, she is still feeling Arrowhead as we speak. I told you guys that yesterday. I don't know, if you were at the game at Arrowhead on Sunday, and maybe there was a sickness going on through Arrowhead, but she's still feeling it right now. She's in a better spot. Things are working.
All right, Vinny, we'll check in next week. We'll talk more about the game. Hopefully we'll see you out in Arizona, and glad you guys enjoyed Arrowhead.
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and do a live show at Radio Row in Arizona, and then we'll make our first live show happen where I'm in person with you guys.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll get Vinny out to Radio Row in Glendale. That's the plan.
Yeah. All right, sounds good, guys. I'll see you next week.
There you go. Vinnie Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, joins us every Tuesday, and sounds like he's going to join us in Arizona next week at some point as well from Radio Row. Yeah, we'll have to do this in person. Nick, it's good that Nick and Vinny sorted out their issues weeks ago, so now it won't be awkward at all when you guys see each other.
Yeah, Vinny, I took the high road, I think, and Vinny appreciated that.
High road?
What?
Why? You took the high road.
No, we both took roads. One of them higher than the other, but that's not really what this is about.
Uh-huh.
I'm ready to mend fences.
I think you already did.
And I think he needs to. He needs to put it behind him because he's got a big season coming up. You don't want this grudge hanging over your head when you're starting your first full season in the majors.
Wow.
Also, you gotta be focused.
I think Vinny, the text line's right. Vinny should be let off the hook a little bit for the Red Kingdom stuff. Tech Nine's song is called Red Kingdom.
Yeah,
it's welcome.
Is that a copyright thing?
Probably, but who cares? He says it. Tech Nine is classic. Kansas
Do we like
City.
that song?
Yeah, I have no problem with it at all. At the Chiefs game, it's perfect.
Cody, come on. Hey, Cody, let it fly, man.
In a sporting event setting, as Gold had said, sure.
You don't want to hear it in the club?
I would not listen to it under any other circumstance.
I'm with you on that.
To me, it's like Quad City DJs. Not really trying to listen to it on the car ride.
Well, I don't know about that.
In a game setting, let's do it.
I think I would listen to Quad City DJs
at Arrowhead, at a tailgate at Arrowhead, that stuff.
Yeah.
But yes,
right.
I don't think in the car.
It doesn't hit the rotation very often.
Look,
for me.
if you're driving to Arrowhead and you want to get pumped up, I think you're good. But if you're just randomly on a Tuesday afternoon, now this week, I'll be honest, if you want to play it over and over, you're heading to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I think you're good.
Again, I think it's a circumstantial song. It's not that, but it's just about the Chiefs. It feels like I can't just listen to that anytime, right?
Like in July, it would be weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they play it? Do they play it in the stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Every time I go to a game, I don't for whatever reason I don't remember that much afterwards.
I think
you remember the parking lot.
I think Vinny's fiance might be.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden things get hazy the second I get into the stadium. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I'll ask Vinny. I'll ask Vinny what his girlfriend's experience is with that, or his fiance's experience is with that.
All right, let's get to Nick's notable notes.
Gotta write something down.
Nick's notable notes.
All right, guys, we just touched on something there with Vinnie Pasquantino, and to pull the curtain back a little bit,
please do
show you how the sausage is made. You may have noticed if you listened to our show yesterday, we didn't spend really any time talking about what seemingly the other 99.9% of the football world was discussing, which was the officiating. You know why? Because that's what the losers get to talk about. They get to talk about the officials and there being a problem, right? I heard that a lot. There is a serious officiating problem in the NFL, and the NFL needs to do something about it. We didn't touch on that at all because it's not fun when your team just clinched a Super Bowl spot to talk about officials. So I want to just open up a dialogue here, and feel free to shut it down if you want. Should we or could we or can we, may we commit to, no matter what happens in 11 days in Glendale, we vow not to make this an officiating blame game show after the game? Because it was really annoying listening to the rest of the football world talking about it yesterday. I don't want to be that person to someone else. I don't want to be the show that does the loser mentality of blaming the officials. We've talked a lot about Carl Sheffers this year. Can we put it all to bed?
If it's the same scenario, because remember, the officiating and why it's ridiculous that since he's complaining about it is because they lost in every other area. You didn't have more sacks. You didn't have more turnovers. You didn't have more yards. And you're like, man, the refs took it away. They had multiple opportunities. The Chiefs punted in the football with 2-something to go in the game. Like, they had their chance. So if that same type of thing happens, no. Now, if the Chiefs outplay Philadelphia in every category, and there's one call that truly does cost the game, well, then damn right we're going to talk about it. But if the Chiefs get dominated in multiple areas, then they will have nobody to blame but themselves. That's what Cincinnati shouldn't be talking.
Why do you think the rest of the NFL world kind of latched onto that as well? Just it's an easy talking point, or what?
Well, in the NFL refereeing, it does have a problem with officiating.
Yeah,
it's not good. It's consistently bad. But this game was no different. It wasn't an outlier. It's how it is. It's like the world you live in. It's like accepting it. Like, if you're in a zombie apocalypse, you're like, why are there all these zombies here? Like, you live in the apocalypse. This is your life. You can't wish for it to be a different time period. The NFL officiating is bad. It is part of the sport. You know, like, if you tried to play it out of the course of an entire season, you'd be playing a very different game.
I also think because it is Carl Sheffers, and there's some history. It's not just a random ref. Like, we already know there are some numbers that even show that the Chiefs are more penalized than any other team when he's officiating.
Sheffers also penalizes teams more than any other ref in the NFL, so we could assume a few flags are probably going to hit.
Yeah, it's just funny being on the other side of it, because when we're in the middle of it and Sheffers is calling that roughing the passer penalty against the Raiders, which we all know was egregious and never should have happened and could have ended up swinging the game. Thankfully, it didn't. The rest of the NFL world is like, oh, really, Chiefs fans? Oh, you guys have it so tough. Oh, what are you guys in first place again? You're going to go to the AFC Championship game again? And we're like, no, listen, hey, look at the game. Look at what happened. But then the second it happens to another team, I'm like, look, get a load of these losers complaining about the referees.
I also think just in general, like, people don't want to take responsibility. Like, it's always somebody else's fault for anything.
That's just a society thing, Gold is saying. He's making a bigger societal point.
He's getting deep. Give him the floor.
I do think that also contributes to it a little bit.
Let me lower the music
Nobody's
real quick.
willing to take some responsibility for certain things that they may also have had a role in. Instead, it's somebody else's fault.
You know what this is, Cody? This is the soft launch of Gold's political career. He just starts to put out some feelers.
What about that?
No, it's not. There's nothing political, but then people listen.
That's why it's a soft launch.
Yeah, that's why it's a soft launch. People are listening and they say, you know what? This guy makes some sense.
Too many participation trophies.
We need more people like this in office representing us every day.
Man.
Guys, some quick housekeeping here as the Super Bowl is set. This is the time of the year where Pro Bowl alternates must be selected.
Okay.
And oftentimes, this is when
I'm not familiar with these Pro Bowl games. I'm not familiar with them.
No, if you were a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you wouldn't be, because oftentimes they are not eligible to compete in the Pro Bowl because they're too busy going to the Super Bowl. Well, Josh Allen is eligible for the Super Bowl, or for the Pro Bowl, but he's not going to be participating. I think he's playing in a golf tournament. So in his stead, he will be replaced by a guy who had a hell of a season. I think we can all agree with that. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Excuse me?
Who appeared
What's he, like QB 25?
He appeared in 6 games this year. He amassed a grand total of, let me count real quick, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. For the Baltimore Ravens.
It's actually very fitting because the Pro Bowl sucks, and even the Pro Bowl games, like, we all know it's a joke now. So go ahead and put guys that only played 6 games in the season. Go ahead and put them in Pro Bowls now. Sure, why not?
You know, I know people say that they haven't watched the Pro Bowl in years, myself included, but this is the moment that the Pro Bowl died. The second that Tyler
this is the
I
moment.
know, Gold.
It's been
hanging
for
on
so long.
No, it's been hanging on by a thread. But the second they put Tyler Huntley in the Pro Bowl, and God bless his soul, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just, not worthy of the Pro Bowl.
I think the part of the conversation that is concerning is how many people they called before they got to Tyler Huntley. Like Kenny Pickett turned them down. Okay?
No, I don't think he did. I think Kenny Pickett got passed over.
Wait, oh God, that's so much. Did Derek Carr turn them down?
I think if he would have, how many declines are we away from Russell Wilson playing in the Pro Bowl? Objectively, the worst quarterback in the NFL.
I can't believe they didn't go to him before Tyler Huntley.
Text line is correct, 913-586-7610. He now has more Pro Bowls than Eli Apple as well. Tyler Huntley does. This is true. This is true.
That is incredible stuff right there.
Like, I'm trying to think of any other AFC. Like, are you sure Zach Wilson wasn't available? He started, or Mike White? They might have started more games than Tyler Huntley.
Right, we need to take care of this right now.
Okay.
During the Pro Bowl, the three of us are going to be together. This is the first Pro Bowl we'll have ever.
Not at the Pro Bowl, but just going to be.
While the Pro Bowl is airing,
we will be.
The three
in the
of us
same
will
area.
be together. This is the first Pro Bowl we've ever spent together as a show. So big moment.
Yeah, I don't think we're making plans to make sure we're all in front of a TV to watch the Pro Bowl
Okay, I
games.
didn't know because you're the guy who watches every sporting event.
I don't watch the Pro Bowl.
Okay. Wow,
it's
this
a
is
different
big.
kind of Pro Bowl.
I was ready to come at you full throttle and tell you that we're not watching the Pro Bowl. So this is great news.
No, we already have. We've talked during the. We already have. Someone's already wants to have dinner with us Sunday night already. We had other plans.
Me too. I haven't heard about this.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's
he
what I
made
said.
dinner plans for us?
No, I said we have to talk during the break. We
We have
other things going on.
We got an invite.
We have other things going on.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
Also, if anything interesting happens in the Pro Bowl games, it'll show
We'll
up
be
on
okay.
Twitter.
Also, what
Social
Cody,
media will tell me what to care
The
about.
only thing cool that could happen in the Pro Bowl is I don't know, somebody's head falls off.
Wow. Well, there's no Chiefs playing it, so who gives it? Honestly, who cares about the Pro Bowl games? Oh, Tyler Huntley threw 3 touchdowns in whatever little crossover game they're playing.
Actually, that might be the most interesting thing that could happen in the Pro Bowl is Tyler Huntley look like the best
I hope
player.
he dominates. Yeah, just
Man, it turns
crushes
out
it.
Tyler Huntley's a great dodgeball player. Breaking news. These are the type of games they're playing during it.
I know that would seem like an easy bar to cross, but I will never forget Alex Smith throwing a dodgeball so poorly that it got him mocked for an entire offseason in Kansas City. You got to be careful. Tyler Huntley, there might be an interested team out there. Maybe think about moving on from Lamar Jackson. Maybe you see his dodgeball skills and change them. You know what? We're not going to pay Lamar. Tyler Huntley's our guy. He's so good at dodgeball.
Are they really doing
At least the Pro Bowl's in Vegas. I still think Hawaii obviously would have been. That was the one thing you could have still given them. Give them Hawaii still.
I feel like when you took that away, that's when people even stopped going even less. Before, when you were like, we'll send you to Hawaii, you're like, fine, I'll come. But now you're like, Orlando. You're like, Orlando,
especially for guys,
Florida?
dudes who are on rookie contracts or
the family gets a free
vet
trip
minimum.
to Hawaii.
You get free vacation to Hawaii. It's a big deal.
I think last year's in Orlando, dude.
Now you're taking the kids to the MGM Grand. It's not quite the same.
You think that's where they're putting them up? You think they get put up at MGM Grand? You don't think they can't bump them up a little bit?
You would know better than I.
No, I'm just. Do we think that's where they're putting them up? There's nothing wrong with the MGM Grand, but there's some nicer places.
Where would you, if you were organizing the Pro Bowl,
yeah.
where would you have everybody stay?
And I think the Cosmo's a great option. The Aria, those would be my first 2 picks.
You know what, kid friendly. Take them to New York, New York. That's the
They're
spot.
definitely not putting everybody up in New York, New York.
I stayed there.
Excalibur.
I stayed there once when I was a kid. When I was like 13.
Why were you in
I don't
Vegas
know.
when you were 13?
Because it was spring break, and my birthday was always over spring break. And I think my sister was off on a trip, and so my parents wanted to do something with me. They took me to Vegas. Again, God bless my parents. They were just trying to they thought I would like it, which I did. I loved when I was a kid. I loved roller coasters and skyscrapers and just big buildings and stuff. So they took me to Vegas, and I was like, "There's nothing to do here."
Those are Nick's.
That was actually, I'd never been to a strip club. That was the first time Nick had gone when he was 13. Mine, I'm waiting for my first trip. Nick, when he was 13 in Vegas.
Are you saying that my parents took me to a strip club when I was 13?
Not the same thing at all.
And that's actually disrespectful, and we need to talk during the break.
Now we're talking about 2 things in the break?
Yeah, no, the dinner thing takes a back seat.
We've got a lot to talk about during the break. When we come back, we'll get back into still the biggest reason why the Chiefs are actually in this position.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on BetMGM's app or website. With one-game parlay, you can make selections within any single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into this promotion and then place an NBA one-game parlay wager of 4 legs or more, and you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
For the website getrefunds.com. If your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. It's a little-known program, but it's out there. It's a payroll tax refund, not a loan, no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. Now, the challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape, get your business the refund money they have coming back? Well, go to getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they put together, highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. They do all the work, no charge up front, simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-989-8906 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-989-8906. That's 800-989-8906. What do you have to lose? Call 800-989-8906. Again, 800-989-8906.
This Valentine's, it will be love at first sight when you see Diamonds Direct's Classics Collection. This must-have collection includes diamond stud earrings, diamond hoop earrings, diamond pendants, diamond bracelets. These beautiful romantic gifts even come in any budget. Diamond Classics are like the little black dress. It's jewelry every woman needs, something she can wear every day, whether just running errands or going out on the town. A nice pair of diamond stud earrings goes with just about anything. Now is the perfect time to celebrate your love with the gift of jewelry. Diamonds Direct has all of the trending fashion jewelry she needs to complete any outfit. Whether she needs a pop of color with a gorgeous gemstone necklace or classic diamond studs to wear every day, it's all at Diamonds Direct. Come and let us help you start the jewelry box of her dreams. And remember, with every purchase at Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed the best value price and a luxurious shopping experience. Come celebrate your love this Valentine's at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. This hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Wednesday, February 22nd at the Sure Stay Plus by Best Western in Kansas City. And Thursday, February 23rd at the Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park West in Overland Park. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and brochures printed, and they have to be perfect.
Your bounded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more, plus 20% back via store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/25. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
$11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Short with you. Reminder, Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in studio in the 1 o'clock hour today. And coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll get to a pretty big basketball game that's happening. I know it doesn't feel that way because of the Chiefs heading to the Super Bowl, but there is Sunflower Showdown Part 2.
Top 10
The
matchup.
Wildcats trying to get a season sweep on the Jayhawks, but they're going to have to get it done at Allen Fieldhouse this go around, and suddenly the Jayhawks are 9-point favorites, which seems pretty wild for a top 10 matchup, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. Our KU insider, host of the Wave and the Wee podcast, I'm sure has all kinds of thoughts on what to expect tonight. So we'll get to that. I was talking about a different insider.
There's a different person who hosts the Wave and the podcast with the exact same name as me.
You need a sue, man. Copyright infringement. Someone's trying to copy your podcast.
His name's
Someone
Matt,
at the station, actually.
No, his name's Matt Galloway. He's been covering Kansas for so
what?
long.
Wait, he doesn't cover. He's not on the beat anymore.
He's not?
No. So why are you invoking him? He's a friend of mine.
He's not even in the
I
industry
just wanted to
anymore.
I knew you
taking
knew him.
strays at random people in Kansas
what is
City.
your problem?
I wasn't taking strays. I was saying he's
For
going to steal
shots.
your
Cody,
job.
Hey,
because he knows Kansas better than you.
Hey, stick around after the break.
Oh, did you hear that?
Stick around after the break. We need to talk again. We just got done talking. Now we need to get to talk again.
We're going to be...
I like Matt. He's really nice.
Things are going to be rocky before we even head to Phoenix. This isn't good.
It's been a long time coming.
Let's hash it out. Let's sit next to each other on the plane.
I actually
you can take middle seat.
Share an armrest.
Because of our conversations about airplane etiquette and what Nick believes should or shouldn't happen on an airplane, I so badly, especially with the weather forecast on Sunday of 70s in Phoenix, I really want to sit next to you and wear shorts, really
It's
short.
going to be 5 degrees when you're getting on that plane at 6 in the morning.
I'll get in the airport and I'll change into shorts if I have to. We know Nick.
You're going to go into that single hole bathroom, which probably doesn't even work.
They've just stopped taking care of the airport.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they shut
laid off the entire custodial staff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the water they just shut it off in the airport now for
there's just a pee corner
until the 28th. No,
a bucket with some water.
Nick has made it clear he thinks it's weird that he does not like people wearing shorts.
No,
next to him
just
on an
werewolves
airplane.
like you.
Just people with hairy legs. And so
I'm okay? My legs are really not hairy.
Yeah, they're nice and silky smooth. As long as you shave them before the flight.
I shave them. They're just not. They're not nearly as hairy as gold.
I want those things buttery soft.
I don't. like that. Now we have to talk. A whole nother conversation.
Can we just fold that into the other talk?
But yeah,
that's fine.
just if you're a Chiefs fan and you're heading to Phoenix, any flight you take, go ahead and wear shorts. Be comfortable. Be comfortable.
Be warm where you're going.
Especially if you somehow end up on the same plane as Nick. Just make sure you wear shorts and make them as uncomfortable as possible. That's the goal, and let us know how that goes. Also, we'll be able to witness Nick trying to cut in line firsthand. It will not happen. It will not happen.
I've put that life behind me.
Oh
wow!
Congratulations, man.
Turned over a new leaf.
That's big. That's big. First dry-ish January, and now you're not cutting lines.
No, I didn't cut at all in 2022. Well, the second half of 2022.
Progress.
There was times in 2022 where I didn't cut. Let's put it like that.
All right. Not too bad. All right, let's get back to the Chiefs, though, because there's so many areas you can point to, like how did they get to this point? But I think it does still have to go back to what they were able to get production-wise from multiple players. We talked about Brett Veach a little bit, but the biggest reason this season the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, okay, Tyreek Hill in last year's AFC title game even, 7 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Somehow they were able to, through draft assets that were acquired via that trade or free agent signings,
because of the money available, hypothetically, and not paying Tyreek.
Get more production. So, this isn't saying that Tyreek Hill wouldn't have had 100 yards in this game on Sunday. That's not what I'm saying. But MVS gets 116 for you. He was one of the guys you needed to help fill the void, right?
Sure.
Then we know with some of those draft picks, they get Trent McDuffie, who, when he was matched up with Jamar Chase, he was awesome. He was really good. Six tackles, also had 2 pass deflections, and they really weren't able to go after him as long as he was covering.
And his single
Jamar
most
Chase.
impressive play might have been when he broke off a block and tackled Jamar Chase in the open field.
Because that was a massive problem in Week 13 for the whole defense. They could not make open field tackles of Chase in particular, and they from the very first play of the game on Sunday night, it was Trent McDuffie making that tackle. And then Karlaftis, another part of the draft, another part of the assets you get. He gets you a sack in the AFC title game. And then Joshua Williams has a huge interception, of course.
I think that all of those things matter. Like, I was trying to look at this from an aggregate. Where the Chiefs are as a season and how did we get here? Because there were certainly times this year that we doubted their ability to get to a Super Bowl. But once we got about halfway through the year, we were like, okay, this team's good enough to go to a Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes is having an MVP year. Are they going to be able to do it? But in this game is the aggregate for the season, outside of Patrick Mahomes, the MVP, who I know is going to be maybe the single biggest reason for any team ever, it was the depth at defensive line. Not just Chris Jones, who was a monster in this game and the biggest reason they went, but this year, the fact that they were able to put together this many quality defensive linemen on a line together is why they're in the Super Bowl. Chris Jones was a monster. They added another quality defensive lineman in George Karlaftis. They signed another quality defensive lineman in Carlos Dunlap. Frank Clark was back. Michael Dana had a really nice year. They've gotten good contributions from Colin Saunders.
Yeah, he's had a really good year.
They run 7 or 8 deep on the defensive line. We usually talk about that for teams that are deep, like really deep along the line. So I think a lot of times we think of that as being the elite level groupings of that. And I didn't think that the Chiefs were going to be that deep in the defensive line. They are, if not, like maybe Philly might be the only other answer, the deepest team. Anybody over 2.5 sacks, 2 sacks, Saunders, Dunlap, Dana, Clark, Karlaftis, Jones, in addition to the safeties and stuff. Even Turk Wart, before he got hurt, was getting some pressure. So it's like the depth has been a huge boost for them.
Well, I mean, it sounds so simple, but if you're able to get that production from all the guys you just listed out, well, then suddenly it does take all that pressure off to a certain extent of your secondary. I thought it was a huge key in the game on Sunday in particular, where it's not as if Spags didn't blitz. We know he likes to blitz, but he wasn't forced to as much as maybe he would have in prior years because you have to manufacture that pressure. They were able to get it with Frank and George Karlaftis and Chris Jones. And Mike Dana had he got held big time on one. Mike Dana was about to get a sack himself until a huge holding call that he drew. So, I mean, that they didn't have to bring Snead off the corner for a blitz multiple times in the game. And then therefore, that also, of course, protected your secondary. And then when Snead goes out, you had Joshua Williams step up and come up with a huge play. Brian Cook, short-term memory, right? Gets beat pretty badly, gives up a big catch to Chase. Then late in the game, he's the guy that popped the ball back up in the air so Joshua Williams could get the interception. Yeah. So I just think this defense as a whole, plain and simple, much better than where they were a year ago. Or that's what it is. And
especially in retrospect, it's so easy to see how much better they are defensively.
And what's exciting about it is all the rookies that are involved in this equation. So, yeah, they're going to have to make some decisions about the long term and the money for Chris Jones. And
start there.
And yeah, there's going to be some decisions there. And do they bring back Thornhill and all that? But McDuffie, rookie. Karlaftis, rookie. Brian Cook, rookie. Josh Williams, rookie. Jalen Watson, rookie. I mean, think about that. And the roles that they all played to actually get to this point. It's not like, only one of them he played a little bit. No, I mean, McDuffie, we just went huge role. Huge reason why they're where they're at. Karlaftis obviously continued. He came on strong from about week 12 on. He was a different player. Something clicked. All
of a sudden. Playoff Frank showed up. Well, the depth really starts to show now because some players are playing even better than their regular season selves. But they were deep all year long. The corner, that's what protected the rookie corners. Go back through and say all these things about the defense. They had to start Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams. They let go of Rashad Fitton in the middle of the year. They can't do that unless they're deep at the defensive line. The offense is a machine. Maybe I'm just guilty because, I watched this game and it's the same thing. In a game in which I'm the offense could have played a little better. Could have put up some more points. And really, it only came down to this game, their inability to score in the red zone. Because at the end of the day, the ball was moved. Patrick Mahomes moved the ball well. The only thing the Chiefs offense couldn't do in this last game was run. So they got themselves in a lot of third downs, and they still got 50% of them converted.
Yeah, that running game will be something I'm sure next week we will talk about a great deal because they're going to have to run the ball better against Philadelphia, plain and simple, because of the multiple pass rushers that Philly's going to have in that game. That's a next week conversation. I get it, but that rushing, if there's one thing if you're taking out of the game on Sunday that you're still maybe concerned about, they will to me have to run the ball better against Philadelphia. That to me is almost a non-starter in the game coming up in a couple weeks.
This is going to be one of the largest splits between run pass percentage in NFL history, I assume. The Chiefs pass 65-35 and I think it's 60-40, and the Eagles run 60-40. So it's going to be an entirely different game than as far as how these two teams approach how they go about business.
We'll get to the trash of the day coming up in about 8 minutes or so. But tonight there is a huge basketball game in Lawrence, the Sunflower Showdown Part 2, KU K-State. We know the Wildcats got the overtime win, that late alley-oop to seal it against KU in Manhattan a couple weeks ago. The Wildcats, number 7 in the country, K-State number 8. I'm surprised just how this line has ballooned up. The Jayhawks opened as a 6.5 point favorite. It's at 8.5 at FanDuel right now. The Jayhawks favorite. It's at 9 or 9.5 at some spots.
That seems way too high.
The Wildcats looking for the sweep of the Jayhawks for the first time since 1983. That's the last time they swept Kansas. I don't think Bill Self's getting out-coached in the final 6 minutes of a game twice in one season.
Happened last time, though. Like you said. I know, you said twice. Yeah.
I don't think that's happening again. That's why it was so notable, because it stood out, because it just usually doesn't happen. I don't believe that, especially at Allen Fieldhouse, that will happen. However, I think 8.5 points seems pretty rich to me. That seems quite a few points, considering it's a top 10 matchup.
I think the big thing in this is obviously Kansas knows what this game is for. But Kansas has won the league 900 times, right? I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's not an accomplishment, but it starts feeling like winning the AFC West. For Kansas, it's a small accomplishment. For Kansas State, it is a massive accomplishment to win the Big 12. Similar, as I mentioned, with the West. If the Chargers were to win the AFC West, what an accomplishment it would be for them. You have to think they're getting the best version of K-State this weekend, right? The difference is, and I run into this with Kansas a little bit. I think I know Kansas's strengths and weaknesses. I just don't know what K-State is great at yet. They have outperformed any of my expectations for them this year already, but I'm really trying to decide where they are great. Is that the problem? I mean, I still don't think 9 points is insane. But when I watch these two teams, I feel like I'm still trying to figure out for sure what Kansas State wants to be, even though they've been incredibly well coached this year. Kansas just has all the talent in the world, so you always just feel like Allen Fieldhouse, all these things are going to win. But if K-State gets the upset, they're probably winning the Big 12, right?
Well, just still for me, in this game, who's stepping up? Who else is stepping up for KU? I mean, Jalen Wilson, in a losing effort, scored 38 in Manhattan, and they lost.
That's pretty much Kansas's theme this season.
And so I was who else is going to step? I mean, I'm not saying Jalen Wilson's not capable of giving you 30 again, because why not? He's been that type of player this year, but still, somebody else is going. They're going to need somebody else to be part of the equation. I know Nick's a big fan of Grady Dick, who he I think
lost
a bet on Saturday.
Yeah, by half a point.
That's rough. That was brutal.
Yeah, you go back to that first K-State game, and Kansas was sort of reeling at the guard spot. DeJuan Harris had a horrible shooting night. Kevin McCullough had a horrible shooting night. These aren't offensive players. you don't need them to score 12 to 15 points, but you can't have them be absolute nothings on offense, which is what you got, not just from one guy, but from two guys. And on a team that doesn't go deep into their bench, neither one of these teams do, right? They are loaded in the starting lineup. You can't afford to have two of your starters be that abysmal offensively, knowing there are no reinforcements coming from the bench. Meanwhile, K-State Desi Sills had like 20-plus points in that game. So that was the difference in that game. It's just that you need to get contributions, like you said, Gold, from more than just the two guys that you count on.
What's weird, though, I was just looking at where the number is for Jalen tonight. So he had 38 in Manhattan. His over-under is only 21 and a half points for the game tonight, which...
Well, that's about a season average.
I know, but man, it's just like in a rivalry game. I don't know. That seems awfully low to me. Now, how many free throws are we going to see? I mean, that was part of the story in the matchup. What 68 or 64 or something like that?
Became a foul fest for the final 12 minutes of that game.
67 free throws in the overtime contest back in Manhattan.
Just out of curiosity, we're like halfway through conference play right now.
Yeah,
I know where they're ranked, so I'm not asking where they're ranked. I'm asking. How good of you're definitively sure they're a top what team?
Who?
Like Kansas and Kansas State. I think Kansas is clearly a top 10 team in the country. Everything this year would suggest that. They have one of the league's best players. I think Kansas State's more like a for sure top 20 team. Like, I'm not sure. I feel like they're still outperforming themselves a little bit based on the talent level.
How long can we keep saying that, though? You
know
what I mean?
They're playing the toughest conference in college basketball, and they're holding their own.
Yeah, I mean, it's tomorrow's February. You know what I mean? It's like tomorrow's February, and certainly, if they win tonight, it would be. I mean, there's no argument.
Well, then I have no argument. Yeah, none.
I think K-State if you're like predicting it from a bracket standpoint and like where should they be seated or how far you think they can go, like to me, Sweet 16-ish, if not more. Like that's where I'm at with K-State right now.
I think Kansas has a higher ceiling as a team, but I don't think that Kansas is a definitive top 10 team. Like
you think they're more like 15, 20 like Kansas State?
I think what they are is they have the ability to become one of those elite 6 to 8 teams in the country that has a chance on going on a deep run in March. But as of right now, you're a long ways away from that because you don't go to your bench at an abysmal rate. You're talking about bottom
6th guy almost.
In conference play, they're averaging like 6 points per game from their bench, and 10 of those, like Zach Clemens had 10 off the bench in one game. So
the fact that he's their best bench player, by the way, is not good.
Well, I don't know who their best bench player is because that's how little they're getting. So I think for Kansas, you know what Kansas does well. You know what they can do at an elite level. Like they move the ball incredibly well. They can play really good defense in the backcourt, but they're still a few steps away from being that top 10 team. K-State's kind of in the same boat where I know that you're good at a lot of things. I don't know one thing that you can hang your hat on game in and game out unless you're like both of these teams. You just say, hey, you got two guys who can score really well. But as a team collectively, I'm not sure what either one of them do at an elite level, which you have to have. You have to have something to hang your hat on if you're going to go on a deep March run.
Although, in fairness, I mean, that's the whole thing about March. We normally just say, have good guard play. That'll carry you a little while. I mean, both of these teams have that. The problem is you might run into the Jordan Bell game where your size all of a sudden becomes an issue, right? Like if you can't do those other things, then maybe you run into a problem. But guard play will carry you a certain distance in the tournament, won't it? I mean, just being like, we can score and those two guys can score and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we say that all the time, but then like, you see a team with a great backcourt get bounced in the second round. So I don't know if there's really much rhyme or reason to it. I will say this. I want to push back on anybody who thinks that like the Big 12 is getting decided tonight or at any point in the next week. I've seen Texas blow a 3-game lead with a week to play. I saw Texas Tech lose 4 of their last 5 games in 2018 when Kansas was down 1, ended up winning it by 2. The Big 12, year in, year out, gets decided with about a week and a half to go. And with all the good teams, there's like 6 teams who are in the race to win the conference.
Yeah.
Like this game, it could be a big swing game, but this game tonight is not deciding who's winning the Big 12, or it's not eliminating a team from contention.
No, I do think it might be down to 3 teams though. Like if we were forced to pick who the 3 are. I mean, I do think it's
Kansas State, and Texas.
Yep.
Okay.
See, I think Baylor, I think TCU, I think Iowa State, they're all in it.
Well, if you like Baylor, you can get them at 15-1 still.
Yeah, they're only 2 games out.
Yeah, you can get Baylor at 15-1. The favorite right now is Texas, actually, over on FanDuel to win the Big 12 conference. 2-1 odds. Then KU's plus 250, K-State plus 350. Should be a great one tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
Let's go to Dallas for this one. You guys like Dallas? Actually, I'm a big fan of the city of Dallas.
The Big D.
I'm a fan of the city of Dallas. Have you been to the Dallas Zoo?
I've not.
Cody?
Nope.
Well, they're asking for help from police in Dallas because 2 monkeys have been declared missing and believed to have been taken from the zoo. They are emperor tamarine monkeys. They were accounted for as of 3:50 or 3 o'clock. They were not there at 3:50 in the afternoon. So
say that again.
As of 3:50, they were not accounted for.
So they just lost monkeys.
The monkeys are gone. It's quote clear the habitat had been intentionally compromised.
So someone stole the monkeys.
How do we know the monkeys didn't just climb over the fence?
Well, because it says, according to police, the habitat had been cut. So unless the monkeys found a way to cut.
Oh, they're caged
Monkeys are
in.
pretty smart.
They are. They're one of the more smarter mammals.
It says the monkeys, which would be expected to stay close to home in untampered circumstances, were still unaccounted for as of 3:50. The zoo was closed Monday due to inclement weather. It's not expected to reopen until Thursday. But there's more history here that this has been some issues at this zoo. Back on January 13th, a 4-year-old clouded leopard named Nova had escaped from her enclosure.
Clouded leopard?
Yeah, the SWAT team found her on site.
It's an endangered species.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Then, a 35-year-old endangered vulture was found
Okay, what the
dead.
hell, dude?
And zoo staff quickly deemed the cause unusual.
What is going on at the zoo?
$10,000 reward if you can find the monkeys.
This is like a Jason Statham heist movie.
It's that, or it's like, call up Ace Ventura, man. We need a pet detective.
You know what this is? This is Gone in 60 Seconds, except with animals. Hey, we got to steal.
They got a list.
Yeah,
Eleanor?
they got a list. They got a list of animals that they got to steal, or else somebody's getting killed.
Why did they kill the bird though? The bird's name was Pina.
Maybe the bird was just a threat, standing in the way.
Can you people are saying on the text line making money off the monkeys, but who are you selling the tamarin monkeys to?
Black market, man.
Black market people.
Oh, do you know a guy?
Remember we played this game?
No, we don't know guys, but if you're in the monkey trading business, you might know a guy.
If somebody
trading business,
if somebody gave you an illegal monkey to own, how long would it take you to find a buyer?
Dude, I wouldn't.
If you had to,
you just keep the monkey.
If you had to find a buyer,
well, I would go through.
go to Craigslist immediately. You gotta find ways to post.
I don't know. Find a drug dealer. I feel like drug dealers maybe run in the same circles as animal dealers.
Probably just the.
I find it hard to believe that it's not someone that works at the zoo. How else would you be involved in this?
How hard is it to break into a zoo? It's not a bank.
It's not. Cody doesn't have any advice on this one.
Which is interesting because I feel like a zoo probably has just as many valuables inside of it. Like, how much do you think these monkeys are going for?
I don't know. It has this cool mustache looking thing on its face. It looks pretty.
Could you sell a monkey for $100,000?
No way, right?
I don't know if they're rare. Think about it.
How rare of a monkey would it have
think
to be?
about it. If
a white mustache tamarin, $6,000 on this random website. That's it.
$6,000? That's it? That doesn't even seem like the juice is worth the squeeze.
If it's just a quick snip the cord.
And what website is this? eBay?
No, this is exoticanimalsforsale.net.
Okay.
Oh, so this is the legal kind. We're dealing in black market stuff. Price goes up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can buy some nice monkeys.
Oh, Cody, show fund.
Show fund? We don't have $6,000 anymore.
Dude, what if we had a mascot? We'd have a little tamarin monkey just run around the studio during the show.
Put him in a tiny Cody and Gold t-shirt
and diaper.
You guys can get a 10-week-old female spider monkey for $12,000.
I just don't want anything that can. I don't want anything big enough to where it could kill us.
Okay, so yeah, we want
like
a
no
small
chimpanzees. You know,
you don't want to.
That would be intrusive.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't know this website existed. Who knew? You can, get Joe Exotic.
If we got just like a nice little capuchin monkey, could sit on Gold's shoulder during the show. Just wears a diaper. We could take it out
the
to show
video
events.
stream?
Yeah, dude, it'd be great. Great for content.
You can stay at your apartment.
We'll take turns.
Yeah.
I'll get him on the weekends.
My kids would probably love
Cody's
it.
got multiple patios, so he can have them up on the patio.
You could
Kids
just
live outside.
Well, you could turn one of the patios into an enclosure.
Man, I keep hearing a cat meow outside. It's like 10 degrees. I'm like, am I supposed to do something about this cat I hear?
You know what could take care of that cat? A monkey.
What? I'm not trying to scare the cat off. I just want it to live.
Well, it sounds like it is living.
For how long, man? For how long?
Someone says these type of monkeys they claim are $25,000 each. Someone on our expert on the text line.
Our monkey expert. Our monkey guy.
Monkey expert.
The monkey guy's on it.
Someone else says $6,000. Now we got multiple prices.
How's it work when you buy something on the black
How
market?
do all you guys know how much tamarin monkeys are going for?
It's this thing called Google. I'm sure the same thing that we were doing. I'm guessing. Get someone from the KC Zoo on the line. Find out.
Let's take time out of
I
our
already
week.
have a contact there due to the last time I tried to get a monkey named there.
Here, Nick, here we go, Nick.
Didn't work out.
First thing we do when we land in Phoenix, we're going to have you become our zoo correspondent for a day as well. You go to the Phoenix Zoo and you do some research there, and by the end of the week, you tell us what plan you would come up with to take a monkey.
That's how I'm going to have to spend my week in Phoenix.
Figure it out, man.
Doing recon work at the zoo.
That sounds way worse jobs, dude. You could be like working in a steel mill right now.
The Phoenix
What are
Zoo.
you complaining about?
Okay, Cody. I could be working in a steel mill. Do they? Honest question. I'm gonna get crushed for this.
Oh boy. Go ahead.
Are steel mills even a thing anymore?
Yes.
Phoenix Zoo looks like a nice place.
You feel like that's a job that only existed in like the Rockefeller era?
Yeah, like the 1930s, and like there's 8-year-olds.
Yes, of course. There are still steel mills. They still need a manufacturing of steel.
I don't know. I thought maybe robots did it or something.
I'm sure that like robots do part of the work, but I don't think it's just been eliminated as a position.
Look, the Phoenix Zoo actually has a tamarin. They have one. There you go, Nick.
Okay, there we go.
Theirs is a cotton top one. It's actually kind of cool looking.
Actually,
look at this thing.
whoever gets the most points, I haven't decided how we get points, and can get access to the can use the show fund.
Points?
1,000 points for stealing the monkey.
Right. What do you mean points?
We're just randomly assigning them. Like, whose line is it anyway?
No.
Okay.
For things.
On the show?
Uh-huh. But 1,000 points for stealing a monkey.
All right.
Someone says.
You just debuted this point system 30 seconds ago, so I don't know how to feel about it.
You don't know if 1,000 points is a lot or a little?
Yeah, Nick. There's
Doesn't it sound like a lot?
Yeah, I guess. In what context?
Someone says call Jungle Law, and they got one on. They got a monkey available.
That's true.
Is it a tamarin?
No, doesn't look like it based on the photos.
All of a sudden, Gold's a monkey expert.
Now you can identify types of monkeys.
Well, I'm looking at a photo of what one of these look like right now. That doesn't match the one.
He's
from
like, no, that's not the guy we're looking for.
It's either that or you can steal one of these foxes, Nick. Go for it. Let us know how that turns out.
They seem meaner. I'd stick with the monkey.
That's the trash
Hey,
today.
let's stop monkeying around. Let's get back to some
Good one,
sports
Nick.
talk.
Let's get back into why Brett Veach deserves even more credit today.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app. We love you, Chiefs fans.
Hey, man, you got to let your boy cook tonight, bro. Tyreek Hill's podcast is called It Needed to Be Said, and it should be called It Needed to Be Caught with his ball-dropping ass sitting at home. This was a manhood game, bro. The X's and O's aside, they challenged our manhood. Cincinnati fans all came down in a bus and quote-unquote took over downtown. Well, now they got their ass busted back to Kentucky. The Cincinnati mayor, the weakest dude in the clique talking stuff. Nah, we can't let that slide, bro.
610 Sports Radio.
So I was watching the playoffs this past weekend like everybody else, and I'm watching the New York Giants play. Their quarterback, Daniel Jones, at one point had to rush over to the sideline because his contact lens fell out. They're quickly grabbing the contact solution, quickly popping back in the contact. Get some LASIK, Daniel Jones. It's that simple. You don't have to worry about the contacts or glasses or anything like that. I don't know why he doesn't have LASIK yet, but all you have to do if you're in Kansas City and you're sick of dealing with those contacts like I was, just call Dury Vision at 913-491-3330 and find out if you're a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. It's way more convenient than having to scramble around. You're probably not going to be as fortunate as Daniel Jones to have someone holding your contacts on the sideline for you like he was. So call up the best in Kansas City, Dr. Lindquist and the great team at Dury Vision, and make that appointment. And right now you can even save $1,000 with their friends and family discount. But hurry, the offer ends on February 28th. It's the friends and family offer, your chance to save $1,000 on your LASIK procedure. So go online to DuryVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics, listen up. Everybody loves playing for a winner, right? That's why it's time to bring your skills and experience to one of the nation's leading providers of sustainable solutions, Waste Management.
There's so much more to waste management than what you think it is.
WM is paying a $7,500 new hire bonus to CDL
Truck drivers and heavy truck mechanics for immediate job opportunities at our WM site in Kansas City.
Besides the $7,500 new hire bonus, there's steady work, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, a generous boot and tool allowance, and home every day.
Plus, over-the-top benefits like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and so much more.
Apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hiring today for tomorrow. We are WM.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot. Where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot. Where can you find Colossus, a friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot. Just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's pot pies are just $5? That's a comforting thought, especially after a holiday season when you had to panic wrap gifts at 2 a.m.
Come on.
Watch the same kids movie 11 times.
Again!
And we're lovingly told your cooking was
a tad dry, dear.
Yeah, a $5 pot pie from KFC with tender chicken, savory sauce, and a flaky crust. That's a very comforting thought. Order your pot pie on the KFC app for just $5. That's finger-licking good. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Tax extra.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $38.99. Go farther with better fuel efficiency. Get the parts you need when you need.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Jackson Hewitt gets you your biggest tax refund guaranteed. Plus, get a chance to double your refund or win other weekly prizes with our Double Your Refund sweepstakes. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return ends 4/2/23.
Mostly sunny and cool today with a high 26.
Weather brought to you by Total Wine & More. At Total Wine & More, save big on what you love this month with hundreds of deals on amazing wines and spirits. Love what you find at the lowest prices only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. B21.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
At Anthony, we get the job done right the first time. That's why you know us as the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Right now, receive 50% off a new furnace when you purchase a new AC. Schedule online today at AnthonyPHCE.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour, brought to you by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way at the all-new Greenway Ford. Reminder coming up at 1 o'clock, Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in the studio. Hopefully you caught the Nate Taylor show last night. We'll, of course, get his thoughts on how it all came together for the Chiefs to end up in another Super Bowl, and we'll have next week to dive into the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit with him and what actually has to happen. But I would imagine he would totally agree that the roster being assembled with so many rookies and how much they've relied on them is a huge reason why this football team is in the position they are. They had the second most games played among rookies in the entire regular season, combined 154. And they've used 10 rookies in the playoff games so far, the 2 that they have played. And we saw in this game, they weren't just playing, they made some of the biggest plays in this particular game, whether it was a return from Sky Moore, obviously the interceptions from Williams and Watson. And we know Isaiah Pacheco, while the rushing total yardage-wise wasn't high, but when combined it with what he did in the receiving game, he was a huge factor in this football game as well. And yeah, Brett Veach, if you're going to have the cap hit that Mahomes is going to provide, and if you're going to eventually have probably...
This year is big. It was $45 million.
Yeah, if you're going to have a cap hit that maybe what Chris Jones is going to end up taking up with a new deal, you're going to have to draft well, and he's drafted more than just well. He's been able, with 6 players or so accounting for a huge chunk of their salary, he's been able to put together a roster like this because of how well he's drafted. 20 of their 22 picks, basically, he's nailed. Pretty much 20 of 22 over the last couple of years. That's insane.
That's an impossible hit rate.
So, Dan Wetzel actually put up numbers. So, the Chiefs have 53% of their cap space wrapped up in just 6 players. The Eagles have 25 players accounting for 53%. So, the Chiefs have...
Because they got a quarter on a rookie deal.
Exactly.
This is team building done 2 different ways.
Absolutely. And so, Kansas City's been able to do it because over the last 3 draft picks, or draft years, 20 of 22 picks have either been starters or still involved in the organization. That's how you get it done.
So last year when they had a ton of picks, these are the guys that regularly contributed for this year or just straight up started. McDuffie, Karlaftis, Ryan Cook, Chenal, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco. Kennard and Nazeed Johnson didn't really matter for this team. Wow, what do you... Oh, no! 1 5th and 1 7th round pick didn't matter. Last year, I think the only 2 guys who haven't mattered are Cornell Powell and Joshua Kando. We know Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey are starters. Noah Gray is a serious contributor, and Trey Smith is a starter. So we got 3 starters, only having 6 picks on that entire draft. And then you even go back to the year before, and it's the same thing. Gay, Snead, now Dana looks like such a better pick, so another 50% success rate. When you go year by year, you find just how quickly this is how they've been able to manage it. But I do worry a little bit about catching up with you. Is there a certain amount of talent? I don't know, you're at the Super Bowl, right? But the Eagles are so talented. They have so many weapons. They get to have so many weapons. The reason why they get to trade for and pay A.J. Brown is because they have a quarterback on a rookie deal. And obviously, they do not regret putting it all in with Jalen Hurts this year and what ended up being probably a runner-up MVP season. So he's had a great year. And defensively, they're loaded. They got more top-end talent than the Chiefs defensively. And it just starts to feel like, God, is it asking too much for the rookies to drive you again?
Well, what you got to define what you mean by talent, though, because you just laid it out. 20 of 22 picks that Veach has hit on the last 2 years. At some point, we have to stop making caveats for guys like Isaiah Pacheco and Jalen Watt. These guys have come up huge in massive moments. These aren't one-offs anymore.
Trey McDuffie doesn't look like a rookie to me. Karlaftis doesn't look like a rookie. Those just seem like viable NFL players.
Trey Smith. We think about the 7th round picks. You got Trey Smith in the 6th round a year ago. So in the last 2 drafts, you've got 3 starters in the 6th or 7th round. That is stealing. That is stealing. When you get high-level starters at rounds where most guys aren't even getting roster fillers.
Dana was a 5th? And he's a really good rotational defensive end having his best year.
The groove that they are in as a front office. I mean, obviously, Brett Veach is the general manager. He's going to be front and center of this. But clearly, whatever formula, whatever they see in their scouting department, however they're evaluating guys coming out of college and what they believe will translate to the NFL and then paired up with, of course, good coaching, they're better than anybody else in the league right now when it comes to that. And they're doing it at the perfect time, too, because you have to, considering the cap backs on this kind of salary would have. You have to do it, and they're exceeding all those expectations. It's a huge reason why, of course, they're in this Super Bowl. And you bring up Jalen Watson a little bit. You can make a strong case. I think it's pretty simple. The 3 biggest interceptions of the entire season have come from one player, and it's Jalen Watson. Go back to week 2 against the Chargers, a pick 6. We obviously know last week against the Jags, huge pick of Lawrence, and then he just had one in the AFC title game, for crying out loud. So 3 of the biggest picks of your entire season have come from a guy that was drafted this past season.
For as much as we've been like, hey, they need a ball hawk, they need a guy who can just go get the one they needed, I don't think I was expecting Jalen Watson to become that player for them. Jalen Watson, when you need a turnover, the first guy we asked to do it is Jalen Watson. Look, if you need a sack, you ask Chris Jones. But if you need a turnover right now, the answer to the call at the current moment is Jalen Watson, because he's made those big picks over and over again. To me, this game is why this last game against Cincinnati, they were without their best corner. L'Jarius Sneed has had a Pro Bowl caliber year. He's been really, really good. They lost him early in this game due to injury, and they were stuck having to go back to Joshua Williams. But the good news is because Joshua Williams had to play earlier in the year when Trent McDuffie was hurt and they were doing these other injuries, it's not like he had just stepped into a new world. Trent McDuffie had to be their number one corner and was. I know that we were I was probably banging this drum like week 8 or 9. I told you by the end of the year, he'd be their best corner. Trent McDuffie is great. Let's be very clear. What McDuffie playing? Tell me he's not going to end up being one of the league's better corners. He can do everything. I know his height seems like a thing.
But he's been dealing with that forever. It
doesn't seem like it impacts his ability to play the position.
Yeah, we talked to him at training camp. That was one of the first questions I think we talked about is his size compared to your standard corner. And he's like, that's something that I've been dealing with since he was in high school. People said he couldn't play big-time college football, and he ended up, of course, going to Washington, which has got a great track record, by the way, of
corners. That might have been another first-round pick that came from Washington.
Yeah, Marcus Peters, of course. And so they have a great track record of corners coming out of Washington. And then here he is. And he's doing it was even more impressive, honestly, about McDuffie's play in the postseason and what he's become already, is that he missed so much time in his rookie season. A lot of times, if you miss significant time your rookie year, you might have to wait till the next year to actually have the impact.
Yeah.
One, they couldn't afford for him not to have that impact considering where they're at with the secondary. But also, he did, after week 1, miss 6 weeks, I think it was, something like that.
After that stupid Arizona turf.
Which I still like. I'm 90% of the time they bring in new turf for the Super Bowl. They better, because that was a major problem.
I saw George Toma was on site. That makes me feel a little bit better.
He's
the best.
Going back to Brett Veach, though, and we think about looking at his sample size so far. We did this offseason trying to figure out, okay, what's he going to do next? How is he going to handle roster construction, getting cornerbacks, drafting receivers, paying guys contract years? It's important to remember that now that Mahomes is on that second deal, we have to sort of evaluate Brett Veach differently, knowing that he has to go through everything differently. You no longer have the luxury of making acquisitions knowing you've got a quarterback on a cheap deal. And in seeing this, what is kind of the new era, or chapter 2 of the Mahomes era, this is Brett Veach sort of hitting his stride, because you can argue about draft evaluations when Mahomes was on that rookie deal the first couple years. These last 2 years have been so good, and this seems like this is his zone of building this roster and finding this value to put around the top end.
The good news, you can miss a year now, and it won't. If you miss next year, you miss on a couple, it won't matter. We're not the Breeland Speaks pick, right? That was the one that we discussed a lot. Let's say Sky Moore doesn't turn out. Sky Moore didn't really matter much for this team this year. He obviously had the huge punt return. He wasn't a huge wide receiver this year. There's certainly better rookie wide receivers. I'm not giving up on Sky. I'm just saying, let's say he doesn't turn out. He ends up being a 300-yard receiver, and they just move on. Won't matter. He hit everywhere.
And do we get to count
miss picks?
Do we get to count Kadarius Toney as a part of this rookie class?
I mean, essentially,
it's not the rookie class, but it's certainly
he's a second-year player, and he only spent a third-round pick on him, so it kind of feels that way.
Not the rookie class, but it's part of Brett Veach's ability to continue to improve the roster. And look, we also know the Chiefs typically are drafting 28 to 32, and this year they're going to be drafting hopefully 31. There's only 31 picks. The Dolphins cheated, so there's only 31. So the Chiefs will be picking 30th or 31st in the draft. That also doesn't make your job easy when you're trying to then the next year rebuild through the draft.
You do that every year.
I know, and that's what makes it even more impressive at this point, is that you're going to have late first-round picks. Essentially, you have a second-round pick. I mean, you're picking third. You basically have a second-round pick, and you're trying to fill voids on your roster. And let's not kid ourselves. They don't have a ton of guys actually under contract next year. They have some big decisions. That's an off-season conversation, but they got to find out their left tackle. What I would do now, are they going to tag Orlando Brown Jr. again? That's what I would do, by the way.
You can afford to. When you have this many young players, you're paying nothing.
Seeing where the franchise tag dollar amount is, I think $16 million, but it's because year in a row, I think you tag Brown again. But do you need to figure things out at right tackle? Or are you willing to run it back again with Wiley? There's some decisions they have to make there, but you got to feel great about who's in charge in terms of going into a draft right now, who's doing it better than him and Howie Roseman. And ironically enough, they're both in the Super Bowl as general managers. But seriously, who's drafted better in the last 2 years than Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles, and Brett Veach, the general manager of the Chiefs? And
none.
They happen to both be in the Super Bowl, doing it different ways, but they're both in the Super Bowl.
It's hard to imagine no team relied on rookies more this season than the Chiefs. So that's a Brett Veach conversation. But it also talks about they got better. There were times this year where you're like, I don't know that I want Joshua Williams playing every snap or important snaps. If that came down to it, I think like a quarter of the way through the season, we're like, Leo Chenal's fine, but I don't know he's going to play snaps. I don't know that I thought Cook was going to play meaningful snaps. Cook helped tip a ball that ended up in an interception. Mm-hmm. It's like all those guys are working seemingly in tandem. The youth movement is very strong. It's funny because like the old guys on the team, like Patrick Mahomes is one of the old guys on the team right now. He's 27. Like Chris Jones is still under 30. Travis Kelce really is the old guy on the team.
Absolutely.
And he might still have 7 years of productivity left. Who knows?
Now we're up to 7. We bumped it up. You hear that?
Yeah,
we have bumped it up. Now it was 5 years, and now it's up 7 more years.
You know what? I want
now
to
he's going to play when he's
games.
40-something. He's going to play when he's 41 years old. Why not? Why not?
There's nothing that indicates it's going the other way.
Yeah, I think he passed Gronk, didn't he? Or passed Edelman. I'm sorry. He's been for most postseason yards. Second most or something like that.
Yeah, he's behind Jerry Rice pretty much for every major statistical category. But that's it. I mean, it's just him and Jerry Rice, which if you're keeping company for a receiving stat standpoint, pretty good.
Did you see the video thing real quick of Jerry Rice? So he was at, obviously, the Niners playoff game in Philly this past weekend where the Niners lost. But before the game, some fans, it's Philly. It's a Philly crowd is fun, and they were trash-talking Jerry a little bit, and he embraces that. So he was trash-talking a little bit back. And so finally, he just smiles, and then he pulls out this, like, pouch. And I guess maybe he always carries this with him. Pulls out this pouch and pulls out each ring one by one and puts each Super Bowl ring on his finger.
There is no way he carries that with him everywhere, right?
I don't know, man. He brought it to the game, so he was obviously prepared for this moment.
He has his pouch, and he puts it on, and he holds the hand up, and he basically just walks. He just walks out with that. It was phenomenal.
I mean, you can't really say much to that if you're.
It's so good. No, he's the greatest wide receiver of all time, and but I want to know, like if we ever have a chance to talk to Jerry Rice, because sometimes he does Radio Row stuff. I'm fascinated. Do you think he carries the pouch of the rings everywhere?
We can find out, or at least just to like big games.
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll just see if he has it on him, if he's there.
Well, that'll be the first question then you can ask.
Where's your pouch?
Is there a more definitive answer for any sport if you're just individualizing it to position than greatest player at their position than Jerry Rice?
No, it's cut and dry.
That's the most lock of the century, right? Other than like Wayne Gretzky or something?
It's so cut and dry. I mean, he pulls out all 3 of the Super Bowl rings, and he was an MVP of a Super Bowl, obviously. I mean, like you just go through all the accomplishments that he did, and nobody's touched what he's done.
Some of his yardage records are untouchable. They are. He's like 8,000 yards ahead of the next stuff. It's stupid. I didn't want to try to turn this into a Jerry Rice conversation.
No, I saw you said his name, and then I saw the video, which I thought was.
Now I'm gonna have to find it.
You're someone on TikTok. I know Cody's big on TikTok, so you can pull it up on your
TikTok
account
on Twitter
if you would like. There is some news still coming out around the coaching carousel in the NFL. We can get to what's up with the Broncos, who they can't find anybody to take their job right now, seemingly. We can get to that in a little bit. But there's some noise around Eric Bieniemy from a coordinator standpoint. The latest has to do that the Baltimore Ravens have also requested permission. That was late over the weekend. That Eric Bieniemy, he hasn't accepted the interview with them next week or so, or maybe after the season, but to be a coordinator. And if you're going to give me the option of choosing to leave, if right now he shouldn't have to do it, but I think we're at a point where it might be the best thing for him to become a head coach somehow is to leave an offense coordinator post to go be an OC somewhere else where you can call the plays and run your own offense. It's pretty simple. Between Baltimore and Lamar Jackson or Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill, I obviously would prefer the destination that involves Lamar Jackson, but I would need those assurances, right? Like before you take that OC job, you would, if the organization is actually committed to Lamar Jackson or not. I don't want to be the OC for Tyler Huntley. I'll be the OC for Lamar Jackson.
I would say, yeah, I mean, I would definitely want that answer. And I think part of this might have to do with Lamar Jackson having a little bit of a say, which they said before they were going to give him on this decision. But I told you before, and I still feel that way even more now. I think they're going to too many opportunities for Eric Bieniemy not to leave to think he's going to stay. And Baltimore is a perfect example of that. That's a great fit. You can get way more credit than you do here for being the guy who solves it. They'll let you call plays, be a part of the play calling, be a part of the play design. If you bring Lamar back to MVP caliber Lamar, which all you actually really need is just Lamar to stay healthy, and then he'll put up big numbers. You'll get a lot of credit for that. And sadly, at this point, whether we've said before it's deserved or not, because it absolutely is not, proving you can do it in any other organization is gonna go miles. And there's no more, what is, other than, okay, so Philly's on the list, Kansas City's on the list, and Baltimore, what are the most stable organizations in the entire NFL?
Pittsburgh as well, yeah.
They're going to let you do your job, right? They're going to fire a bunch of people. They're not going to move on from you too quick. Who are the organizations that are going to stand by you for a while as you work on this to get them better? And obviously, Baltimore is one of them. Harbaugh's not going anywhere. Like you said, Tomlin's not going anywhere. Kansas City, right? These are the places look, Vrabel seems very safe now. More no, right? And their ownership isn't like the other ones that we just talked about, where everything is stable and you're good. And so to me, I think there'll be enough teams calling. I'd be really tempted by Baltimore. I don't know if there's a better fit for him. He can go back to a little bit of that run style offense that he's seen it work with Alex Smith. He's seen it in the early, they've seen the way they use Patrick Mahomes. He's not used like Lamar Jackson, but doesn't that feel like the best possible OC job he could take this offseason? He's still going to get an MVP caliber player.
Out of all the potential spots, yes.
Other than Kansas City, obviously. But
yeah, but again, if it's come to a point where somehow he needs to be his own play caller in another organization away from Andy Reid because he hasn't been able to get a job under the current role, at this point, what is going to change if he just stays where he's at? This feels
like the Andy Reid conversation we just had earlier in the show. It's like sometimes time just runs its course.
Well, it's just the acknowledgement. We all know it's absolutely ridiculous that Eric Bieniemy would have to choose that path to become a head coach, a possibility. But the current path is not working. And we've had plenty of conversations about why it may or may not be working. But sitting where he's at now has not led to a head coaching job. It's insane, but it hasn't. So don't you want to potentially find some path that maybe gives you, if that's still your goal, and there's no reason to believe, by the way, his goal is still not to be a head coach. Of course, the guy, you don't interview just for the hell of it. So he obviously wants to be a head coach.
15 teams? No.
So is it better for him to go elsewhere and be an OC? I think at this point the answer is yes. And then let's see what obstacles and phony crap people come up with when he succeeds as an OC in Baltimore. And then people still don't hire him. Then what are the owner's excuse going to be at that point in time?
By the way, even if he doesn't get Lamar Jackson, have you considered the fact that Tyler Huntley is a Pro Bowler and that impacting Eric Bieniemy's decision?
Yeah, look,
he wasn't even the Pro Bowl today.
Two Pro Bowl quarterbacks on the same roster. It's unfair.
Yeah, and
what are you going to even do?
Someone from the 913 says there's reports that they're going to tag Lamar Jackson. That's
Ian Rappaport said that today.
Yeah, you can tag them, but still, are they actually? Anybody can tag anybody and still trade them or whatever, right? So that, do you know? I'm not taking that job unless I know that you actually are not planning on moving on from him, because I don't want to be the OC. I know we joked about the Pro Bowl thing for Huntley, but I don't want to be the OC for Tyler Huntley. I want to be the OC for a guy that won an MVP.
Put some respect.
I want a guy that's an MVP in the past, which Lamar Jackson was.
I kind of hope he stays because I like the system. I think it works. I think Eric Bieniemy is really good for this team, but I feel like in order to get the opportunities he wants, he's going to have to leave. And this happens all the time in the NFL. Not be uncommon. Eric Bieniemy is the third longest tenured offensive coordinator in the NFL, and that includes a situation where in Hart or in Shanahan, who calls himself the offensive coordinator, right? So it's in a weird way, it's
McVay's the same thing.
Or McVay. That's what I'm thinking of. So it's in this case, he really is the only offensive coordinator who's been with his team this amount of time. The rest of them move around. Look at this year, in particular, with offensive and defensive coordinators all over the place. Jets let go of their guy. He's ending up with McVay. It's everybody is moving around. So, if you could just be a part of that, and Kansas City's case, it stinks to lose Bieniemy, but you've got some in-house options, including Matt Nagy, who, former head coach and former offensive coordinator for this team.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending and something Andy Reid had to say yesterday about his time in Philadelphia and just putting in perspective and what Andy's been able to do in Kansas City. We'll do that together next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on the BetMGM app or website. With Game Parlay, you can make selections within a single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into the promotion, then place an NBA one-game parlay of 4. You'll get up to $25 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
With inflation on the rise, you may be charging more to your credit card. But be careful. That increased debt can cause your credit score to suffer.
Don't get stuck with a low credit score and a mountain of high-interest credit card debt. Call Golden Oak Lending now.
Refinance with our low rates to wipe out your high-interest credit card debt and put extra cash in your pocket. Call 913-899-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Gates Barbecue is sure to please your palate for lunch or dinner. Gates sauces and seasonings can be ordered online at gatesbbq.com or stop by any of their 5 locations and bring Gates sauces and seasonings home to the family. Whether a family get-together or getting ready for your big game watch party, it all goes best with Gates Barbecue. Nothing says chilly winter days like the great flavors of Gates Barbecue, a Kansas City tradition.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight and let Mark Patrick hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars Wednesday, February 22nd, Sure Stay Plus by Best Western Kansas City. Or Thursday, February 23rd at the Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park West, Overland Park. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Dancing crew, trip for 2, nail the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free, updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Rian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Gale, you've got this gift. Always knowing the truth.
I only know if something is alive. The real trick of it is to figure out why.
Natasha Lyonne is Charlie Cale.
It wasn't an accident. I think there's been a murder.
You watch too much Dateline.
A new 10-part mystery series.
Wolves on my fender. I gotta keep moving. I have been kind of a death magnet.
Poker Face, streaming now only on Peacock.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, some positive news coming out from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN around the health of a couple Chiefs players. He says indications are that Patrick Mahomes came out of Sunday's game without any major setbacks on the high ankle sprain. He was told he's in good shape. Also, he said early signs for Willie Gay's shoulder injury continue to be good. He says Willie Gay's optimistic about playing in the Super Bowl per a source. Early tests were encouraging. Again, that's from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. They've got, fortunately, the whole week off in terms of not having to play a football game, get guys rested, and then the team will actually fly to Phoenix on Sunday afternoon, I believe. And then opening night, the whole media opening night deal that is going to be broadcasted on NFL Network and everything. They didn't do it a couple years ago when they were in Tampa because of COVID, but they did in 2020 with Miami. That'll be the first real glimpse of some of those guys down in Arizona.
Obviously, you want as many of these players healthy as possible, but yeah, I was worried about Willie Gay, and you're just checking off the boxes. How many guys are going to be okay? Mahomes is fine. He played in the last game. Rappaport said no major setbacks. Now, Willie Gay's early signs are good. We'll take that, especially with a week and a half still left to go. Next up on What's Trending, KU K-State tonight, Sunflower Showdown, this time in Lawrence. That'll take place tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN+. What's your official prediction for the game? You think Kansas wins but doesn't cover?
Yeah, I would take K-State plus the 8.5 or 9, but I do think KU wins. That's just a lot of points for a team that is a top 10 team in the country that beat them a couple weeks ago in overtime. I do think Kansas is going to win. They're not going to get swept for the first time since 83 or whatever it is to the Wildcats.
Nick told me the last lock of the game was Grady Dick over. What's your lock for this game, Nick?
Well, it's at 14.5 this go-around, Nick, not 13.5.
Man, give me the over on DeJuan Harris assists.
Okay. I like the over on Jalen Wilson. Down 21.5 points. He had 38 in the overtime game earlier.
That's pretty much what he scores in any
He averages
other
22-ish
game,
or something
right?
like that, yeah.
Missouri, once again, close to the top 25. Pretty sure we're going to get 3 tournament teams out of the locals this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the question is just where do they all end up? Are they all playing in the same site?
Missouri
and
feels
things
like an
that?
8-9. Right now, Kansas and K-State feel like 2 3s, right?
Mm-hmm. Next up on What's Trending, injury news as well on the San Francisco 49ers front. Brock Purdy indeed does have a torn UCL. Going to miss at least 6 months. Typically, so we talk about with baseball.
Longer.
We talk about with baseball players normally. But yeah, it can be longer than that. All their quarterbacks with serious injuries, whether it was a fractured foot for Jimmy G, was a fibula, I think it was, for Trey Lance back in week 1, week 2. Just brutal injury luck. And now this is why the conversation around Tom Brady has opened back up a little bit more. People are now looking at, is that more realistic than what it was a week
single
ago?
Healthy 49ers quarterback.
Tom Brady with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
I didn't blame, like every once in a while, why athletes, like when they get short in those situations. Like he had just lost the NFC title game and somebody had asked George Kittle, like, hey, how does it suck to lose your fourth? Yeah, of course it sucks, man. What do you think? Like it was awesome that Johnson was playing in that game when we started the season with a completely different quarterback. I know I'm supposed to dislike George Kittle. I really like Kittle.
No, he's extremely likable. Don't be mad at him.
I just didn't like the conversation because people were trying to crown him over Kelsey for a while.
Don't be upset with him that members of the media were trying to convince you that because he's a good blocker that Kelsey's not as good of a tight end. We always knew that was laughable. Kittle is a hell of a football player, and he is a great blocker. Travis Kelsey can block, first of all, as well, and we all have witnessed what he's capable of doing as a receiver. He's a wide receiver, essentially, and he's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer and has a chance to lock up multiple records still if he continues at this pace for another couple of years.
Lastly, on What's Trending, Ian Rappaport reporting the Ravens are likely to franchise tag Lamar Jackson. That with the exclusive franchise tag. Remember, the difference is if they do one franchise tag, someone could trade for him if they're willing to offer up 2 first-round picks. But in this case, he's saying the exclusive tag, so no one else can sign him at this point.
They can still trade. No, they can still trade him.
They can still trade him. I'm just saying no one else can sign him.
Correct.
They can't just offer the 2 first-round picks and get him or match the contract, which is the other version of the franchise tag, because that would have been interesting if they did that. If you're like the New York Jets, you sure you're not willing to give up 2 first-round picks in order to have Lamar Jackson come to your building? You obviously would have been. And then you could have gone back and forth, and then, the Ravens would have had a chance to negotiate and all these things, but no one's surprised here. They're not going to just give Lamar Jackson away. That would be silly.
Lastly, on what's trending, something we're going to talk more about coming up in 10 minutes or so. The Texans' second interview with 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans has wrapped up, according to Ian Rappaport. He flew in last night, met with the team's brass this morning. He is one of the favorites, or the favorite, to land the Texans head coaching gig. Why is he not going to Denver? We're going to get to that in a couple of minutes. Reminder, 1 o'clock, Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in studio. Thinking of coaching, though, Andy Reid spent 14 years in Philadelphia. Like that storyline is going to be dominant, along with the Kelsey brothers playing each other in the Super Bowl. Those are going to be the 2 big themes of all next week. From a national perspective, and understandably so. It's pretty evident, and these are the 2 dominant storylines, as you said. But 14 years in Philadelphia, he's already been in Kansas City for 10. We know he's won 7 AFC West championships. We know that he's his third Super Bowl, in Kansas City that he's going to, trying to get his second ring with the Kansas City Chiefs and in his NFL career. And he's passed Don Shula now for the second most wins in the postseason in NFL history. He's only behind Bill Belichick. That's it. That's the list. And postseason success. And he's got a chance to get another ring here. And 14 years in Philly, like, it's crazy. It's already been 10 in Kansas City. I saw, the time hop thing will pop up on your timeline. And a few weeks ago when it was I think it was the New York Times, not the Philadelphia Inquirer, but I think it was the New York Times. They had like a cover. It was like "Smile and Say Cheese." Yeah. But "Smile, Say Chiefs," right? Like, was the headline. It was a picture of Andy Reid. That was 10 years ago, man. 10 years ago, he got hired and changed the entire franchise around. And then, of course, Mahomes comes and elevates him to an even different level.
I'm sure at some point we're going to have the conversation about, if this second Super Bowl would mean more for Andy Reid or mean more for Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid's perspective, like, everybody knows how great he is. And that first Super Bowl he was trying to win, he spent 14 years trying to win it with Donovan McNabb, and out of prison Michael Vick. He was trying to win it with different levels of quarterback than he has now. Now he's been in Kansas City for 10 years. And for those first 5 years, he spent those with the quarterback of Alex Smith, which is a lot like having Donovan McNabb. And you running short in the postseason, not able to get over that hump. The second he got a star. This is like the Kyle Shanahan thing that he should be paying more attention to. The second he got a star, you got a guy who's going to the Super Bowl every damn year. 3 times in 4 years. I just want to make sure that the honeymoon period doesn't wear off. When I heard him talk about it yesterday, it was clear, and we knew this. He's the coach of the Chiefs now and all those things. He says he's not going to let these things try to drive them or make them crazy. But, like, when you really think about it, you could hear the way he was talking about it. It's like, yeah, it was fairly obvious that we were done, right? We knew that the ship had sailed, that the time had come up. That's what I was mentioning about Eric Bieniemy. Are you going to get that way if you're Eric Bieniemy as the OC, where you're just like, guys, does it make sense to keep doing this? But I feel like with Andy, it's never going to happen here. I think because he doesn't have to do the general manager job, and because he has Patrick Mahomes.
Well, yeah.
And he's 10 years younger than Bill Belichick. Think about the runway you can have on this thing. I know you say health, but there's no indication to suggest that he's going to get tired of being here.
Well, no, that's I don't even like that. To me, I don't even have to entertain. Like, obviously, this will be his final job that he has in the NFL. I mean, that's been wrapped up for 6+ years. He's been here for 10, but after 4 years in Kansas City, you could already tell this was going to be his final job. I mean, I don't think anybody's worried about him leaving ever other than retiring. And yeah, I think he will coach as long as he is physically able to coach. That's to me what lays out how long can he be here. You got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. If you can physically coach and you can have health on your side, you're going to keep on coaching. That would be the only holdup to him coaching another 5+ years, as far as I'm concerned. I know we talked after the Miami Super Bowl, and that was the question everybody had. And you and I at that point thought he was going to coach another 5 to 7 years. Here we are 3 years later. And we're talking about, can he do another 5 years again? So there were some people that thought maybe he would be done sooner than that. But as long as he's able to stay healthy, there's no reason to leave. is still the most innovative offensive mind. I know everybody will bring up Kyle Shanahan, and yeah, Kyle Shanahan's the younger guy. But Andy Reid, unlike some of the other coaches that have gotten up there in age, he's been able to innovate. And I bring up Shanahan because I actually think Kyle Shanahan's put himself in a spot where he's now what Andy Reid was pre-Super Bowl.
Everyone knows he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's never won one.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan is what Andy Reid was before. A bunch of NFC Championship appearances, Super Bowl appearances, hasn't won the big game, but he obviously is one of the best coaches in football. That's where Kyle Shanahan is. That's exactly where Andy Reid was years prior to finally winning a ring, and I feel like that's where Kyle's at.
But is Andy in the category of greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, should have some more rings? Because for all the guys you mentioned, right, Don Shula or Bill Belichick, or like whoever you want to bring, or Bill Walsh, the guys you want to bring in these conversations, they have multiple Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, and Andy's got a chance to get that in 2 weeks.
No, absolutely. But I'm just saying, is he right now, he's obviously not in the category anymore of greatest coach to not win a Super Bowl. But is he stuck in the greatest coach who should have more Super Bowls? Does that make sense, right? Shouldn't you have more? You're one of the greatest coaches of all time. You only got that one ring? Because 2 seems like, in the NFL, considering the length of their history, 2 always feels like you're never going to, like, it's like Peyton Manning to me. I don't hear people a lot of times still with the Peyton Manning be like, he should have gotten more Super Bowl. Because once you get 2, 2's enough. 2 is like a number where you're like, you didn't squander it. Maybe it feels like you should have ended up with more, but you didn't burn it when you're an all-time great. Because that Andy is an all-time great. All-time greats typically have more than one Super Bowl ring. There is going to be some real legacy stuff that comes with him over, in this next week and a half before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, if you're only Bill Belichick, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, and Joe Gibbs won more than 2. So I mean, once you get to 2, you're.
Oh yeah, that's the same thing as quarterbacks. It's only 4 guys who've won more than 2 Super Bowls, and you're in. So you'd be one of 5.
Look, to me, we just mentioned the postseason wins. He's already second all time in postseason wins as well, and
he's way up on the regular season's win list too. By the way,
and with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you're going to be in quite a few postseason games still. If let's say he coaches another 5 years, that's at minimum 5 more postseason games, and probably maybe 5 more wins even, minimum. You know what I mean? Like, considering what they've been able to do. So, and right now, they've been going to AFC title. That's why I said minimum.
I was agreeing. I was like, it feels like it's going to be more than that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why he's going to go down as one of the, I think when it's all said and done, one of the top 5 coaches in NFL history. You could make a case that he might already be there, except the argument that, hey, he has 1 compared to these guys that have 2. If he gets 2, meaning he wins in 2 weeks or whatever, in Glendale, then he vaults into that top 3-4 category for me.
He's benefited right now because he gets to keep catching up to Belichick because Belichick's not making the postseason. So it's not like Belichick's stretching himself out right now. He's got an 11-win lead right now, which means Andy would need to coach, let's say an average of 2 playoff wins per year. It's more than that normally for Kansas City, or it can be more. Average of 2 playoff wins per year over the course of 5 years would put him at 10. I mean, so he'd still be 1 short in that scenario. I mean, it's not even impractical for him to catch Bill Belichick for the most postseason wins of all time. Now, it's going to require what we just said, more Super Bowls. A couple, probably, if we're having a conversation. Because if you win 2 more, then you've got 6 wins right there. And Bill Belichick to keep missing the postseason. Because they could run into a wild card win, right? I don't know, man. In the AFC anymore, do you think with a great quarterback you can win an NFL playoff game?
Or without a great quarterback?
Yeah, without a great quarterback. Yeah. You think you're rolling into the AFC right now with Mac Jones? I don't think so.
Yeah, you can win a game, but you're not going to win 3.
But that's the end of the road.
Yeah, you can win a single game, but in the current climate of the AFC and the quarterbacks that exist, multiple games. If you're not Lawrence, if you're not Josh Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, I'll still say Herbert, depending on what they can do now with the new offensive coordinator. If you're not one of those guys, good luck. And heck, Herbert hasn't been able to win one, as we know. Trevor Lawrence has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert.
Well, Justin Herbert has 0.
That's right.
So how many does Tyler Huntley have? Does he have any?
I think that's 0 as well.
Oh.
But he's a Pro Bowler.
I mean, Herbert, maybe he would have gotten invited if he wasn't hurt, though.
I would hope. Is it true that Derek Carr just got an invite to the Pro Bowl?
Yes. So the AFC quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Huntley, and Derek Carr.
Oh, my God.
I mean, the game's a joke anyway, or it's not even a Pro Bowl game. It's the games.
But so I was thinking,
come on, have some pride.
But think about, you know what the juiciest part of all of this is that that's how bad Russell Wilson was. Russell Wilson was so bad, Nick, that they decided on Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, and Tyler Huntley.
My guess is he would have turned it down anyway.
Before they picked up the phone and said, hey, Russ, got some time?
Oh, you think Russell Wilson would have turned it down?
Yes.
He doesn't strike me as the type of guy who has humility.
What are the quarterbacks left? Anybody who played for the Colts?
Other than
Deshaun Watson, which I don't think the league was going to do.
I mean, Russell Wilson, other than Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson was like the worst quarterback in the AFC. So, everybody else would have had to say no. I also think he probably just wants to completely move on from this season. But yes, the fact that Derek Carr is going to play in a stadium this weekend that we know he's never going to play in as a member of the Raiders again, and he's going to be wearing a Raiders helmet, though, on Sunday, while there's reports out that the Raiders aren't letting him talk to teams to seek a trade, is really bizarre and really, really weird and awkward.
Oh, super, super weird. The best part, I know it's like Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, right? Next week.
That's what I hear.
Next
that
Sunday
is
they're
what
going
I
to play
hear.
in it. So
Yes.
I shouldn't relish in other people's. I shouldn't relish in other people's failure right now. But I am taking genuine enjoyment out of the fact that no one, and I mean no one, wants the Denver Broncos job. They can't find a coach to take it. They're practically begging Harbaugh to leave Michigan to take it. They tried to get D'Amico Ryans. They were begging Sean Payton. They are asking anyone. They're offering them blank checks, man. They're like, we'll pay you $48 million a year. Will you come be the coach of the Broncos? And everyone looks at their roster, looks at their lack of draft picks, looks at how bad Russell Wilson was, and they're like, I can't fix it. You want me to take this job? I can't fix this job. I am not interested. They're going to have to hire like David Culley. What are they left with right now? What are the Broncos'
poor David
options?
Culley just getting thrown into this.
Well, former head coach.
Yikes.
So.
Well, this is why if I'm D'Amico Ryans, it's the correct decision. Even as bad as Texans ownership is, you still have the draft capital, and you're in a better spot, in a worse division too, to where you can at least mold that team maybe the way you would like it. I would still be nervous about going to Houston if I'm D'Amico Ryans, and he's considered to be the favorite now for that gig. But yeah, why would I go to Denver where you are saddled with Russell Wilson at this present time, where there's no real belief that he's going to ever be what he was? And now the question more is, can he just be a top 16 quarterback? Like, that's what you would sign up for that right now if you're a Broncos fan. Can he be top 16 instead of bottom 4? That's where you're at.
Yeah.
Before it was like, maybe he's still top 10. Now it's like, is there a chance we can get him to number 15 or 16? Can he just be a middle of the road quarterback? That's where you're at now. And a middle of the road quarterback that you're going to be paying like a number 2 or number 3 quarterback in the league because of the contract that you guys decided to hand out. So yes, the Broncos are in a
Eric
tough
Bieniemy
spot.
interview there?
He let him interview? Yes. Let him interview? Because he did last year.
Yeah. Shouldn't they just
the Broncos haven't requested. They're not interested.
Why? Because they interviewed him that was a different owner.
I understand, but have you seen? Have I missed it? Have you guys? I haven't seen a report that said the only place I've seen report that EB's interviewed for a head coaching gig is the Colts. Am I missing another one?
Who are they going to end up with? They should have just kept that 90-year-old dude who was doing in-game management. Should have just kept him
or whatever.
I guess.
Jerry Rosburg.
Rosburg, yeah, big fan of Jerry Rosburg.
They could have all left the facility at 4 every day, hit up the buffet, whatever. I don't know. What are they left with? Who's going to take that job?
I actually don't. What's so bad about hitting up at the buffet a little early on in the afternoon? What's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to eat dinner that early. What time do you guys eat dinner? What's the standard dinner time for you?
7 o'clock.
Normally, my answer is 6:30 or 7, but a lot of times what happens is when we get off the show, Nick will have a full-blown meal during the show.
Yep, me and Al Michaels.
But at 2 o'clock, and especially if we have a meeting, let's say today, we probably will leave here around 2:45-ish. I'm starving at that point, and I'm not going to wait for dinner at 6.
At 3 o'clock?
So I'll eat Chipotle at 3. Well, then obviously I'm not going to have dinner at 3 hours later. And so then I'm kind of good. And then I'll end up having a snack later.
So one meal all day.
Not always, but that does happen. Or it'll get to the point where then I get hungry at 8:30 and I got to find something to
It feels like you're intermittent fasting on accident.
On accident. And
that might be always the case.
And that might be working then, I guess.
Secret to his success, man.
Little did I know I've been intermittent fasting.
So that's how you've managed to maintain the same body weight?
We had the chart, which we saw what happens. It's fairly consistent eventually. We need to erase that and come up with something else to do on the board over there.
That's probably fair.
But maybe we'll bring the board to the Radio Row.
Yeah, that's right. As if we don't have enough things, we got to lug down to Arizona with us.
Ship this.
Yeah, ship it out there. No big deal.
I just wonder, at this point, who do you think is going to take the job? You think they're actually going to convince Harbaugh?
What if they don't have a coach?
They're going to have a coach.
How do you know?
Well, what is the level of coach you think they're still capable of getting?
Jeff Saturday. That's who they should hire.
Oh my God. Just any.
By the way, real quick,
ESPN
do you see the
personality?
Colts are now interviewing another member? The Colts are going to interview 20 candidates and then say we had such a deep search.
And Jeff Saturday was the smartest
and
guy
he
we
was the
found.
best guy. And then they were like, well, we interviewed so many people, and he continued to just stand out.
And nobody started more. We interviewed 20 guys, and nobody started more games for us than Jeff Saturday. So we had to hire him.
I mean,
nobody else even had Peyton Manning's phone number. What do you want me to do?
I actually do think when the dust settles that it's going to be Harbaugh. I really do.
Wait, in Denver?
In Denver, yeah.
Dude, that's a death sentence.
He's turned them down twice.
They flew up there this past weekend, reportedly, even because I don't. By the way, nobody should trust a damn thing Harbaugh says at Michigan about being loyal.
That's a death sentence for his NFL career. He'll never be an NFL coach ever again if he takes that Denver job.
Nobody else wants Harbaugh, though. That's the thing.
Because everyone's getting fired. Anybody who takes a Denver job is getting fired.
Here's the thing. If you said it's a death sentence for him to go, no other NFL team wants Harbaugh.
Does it ruin his college career?
The Texans didn't even request an interview.
Nick, you're a Heisman voter.
Yeah, true.
If he takes this Denver job and it inevitably is a gigantic plane crash into the side of a mountain.
Wow. Jeez.
Calm down.
Wow. Man.
Then what college teams, what level of college job could he still get?
Any. Look at what he's done in college.
Yeah, he won't have no problem going back to college.
He was at what? San Jose State, I think it was.
Stanford as well.
Then Stanford. And now at Michigan, like all he's been is a model of consistency. Even in the NFL, by the way. He got fired after going 8-8. It's not as though the Niners exactly bottomed out with him as the head coach. He has been successful everywhere he's went. So we can make jokes about Jim Harbaugh, but if he takes the Broncos, that's as good of a hire as they could do because he has had success everywhere he's went.
Like, it is weird. Like, why aren't the Colts interested in Harbaugh? Like, other than Jim Irsay being an idiot with anything, with the Jeff Saturday stuff. But, like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, the Broncos, if they want him and he truly wants to go to the NFL, then that makes all the sense in the world. Like, the Texans aren't even interviewing Harbaugh. The Texans,
maybe they had like a sour relationship because he'd been around the organization for a while. Who knows?
Huh. I don't know.
Maybe the Broncos are the only ones refusing to take no for an answer.
That also, I think, the fact that
that's definitely part of it.
They flew up to Michigan, even though he, quote unquote, had moved on and said he was staying, they're like not giving up on it.
Is it still the worst opening? I think of all the openings, it's the worst.
Yes.
Well, how could it change if it was the worst at the beginning? It's not
I don't know. Maybe you just changed your mind.
It's not like the job has improved over the last 2 weeks.
Maybe you thought about it for a little bit and you're like,
Russell Wilson suddenly got better just like that.
You just stare at Russell Wilson's stat line long enough. You go, you know what?
Not too bad.
Not that bad.
More I thought about it, he did have more passing touchdowns in bathrooms when the year ended.
Which is tough to do.
When you're Russell Wilson and you have that many bathrooms. Imagine just that stat with anybody else. Like that Mahomes would have had to put 40 bathrooms in his house in order for this to be a conversation.
He just won't stop building bathrooms.
Every year.
It's a big addition. It's just a bunch of...
It's just like he likes to motivate himself that way. I have to have more passing touchdowns and bathrooms in my house. And it'd just be like, I'd be embarrassed if it wasn't, but it's got to be close. I like it to be a race, you know? Otherwise, it just feels like it's a blowout every time. It's not even worth it. It was my favorite stat from the entire NFL
I would
season,
guess by the end of this week, we'll start to get like all but maybe one of the coaching vacancies like wrapped up. I mean, it's the Super Bowl's next week. Usually the NFL likes some of these to be done
but they
before,
changed the rules a little bit, I think, in the idea of slowing it down for guys like Eric.
But he's not even, other than the Colts, he's not even getting considered right now for like. And I don't think the Eagles do have Gannon or whatever, their defensive coordinator,
who did claim to former Kansas City reporter Breland Moore that he was staying, but I don't know
because at one point
he could be lying like Harbaugh. They all lie.
Yeah, at one point the Texans really liked him. He was a candidate, but now it seems like D'Amico Ryans to Houston seems like the safe bet. That's where everybody believes D'Amico's going to end up, and that it maybe means Vic Fangio is going to go back to San Francisco as a defensive coordinator and not go with the Dolphins. That's at least what some of the speculation is right now.
I like it. We can both celebrate the Chiefs' accomplishments and laugh at the rest of their division foes. Did you also? I mean, I didn't know if you saw, but Skip Bayless earliest call
don't
ever.
Bring up Skip.
No,
earliest call ever said that the Chargers are going to
no.
win it. He beat everyone to the punch. I was impressed.
Cody, we don't need to reference him on this show.
I think it's the first time we've referenced him on this show in like 2 years.
It's not long enough.
What's the grace period?
Infinity. You never reference him.
Interesting.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
That's what. That's all I need to know for Skip.
You know
Bayless.
what? It's interesting that you brought him up, though, Cody, with your aspirations to go national.
What do you mean aspirations to go national?
I think that's what you're. I think you have lauded many times over the last year that you are, a national caliber radio host.
I don't think I am anymore. What's the grace period? I haven't been on like 6 months.
How many times are you going to say grace period in a 60-second span?
Twice, I guess. I'm just asking. What's the length of time? It's okay.
Would you kill for Skip Bayless's career?
Do I get his money?
Yes. But you have to sell out like
That's
him,
one
too.
thing. Who do I have to kill? Or you said sell out?
Him.
I have to kill Skip Bayless and then become him?
Well, there's only one king.
He's been one of the most people hate him, but he's been one of the most successful.
Yeah.
I don't think I could
commentators.
do it. I don't think I could just pop in there every day and just say like insane things.
It's really easy.
Aren't true.
I think after a while when
aren't true. Like even he doesn't believe them.
Right, but that's his now that is who he he's developed. That's who he is. So now it's very easy for him to do that.
Yeah, and all you have to do is put a period at the end of each word. If you do that, it makes whatever you're saying sound more dramatic. And then do like puns.
Is that
Joe Burrow turned into Joe Burrow? Oh no!
Is that your Skip Bayless?
Yeah, I haven't really worked on it.
I'd work on it.
Oh, okay. You're gonna take shots at me now?
You just took shots at me.
I know, but two wrongs don't make it right.
No, low road. Screw the high road. Low road the whole way.
Coming up next, we saw this past offseason a couple things change in the NFL. Indirectly towards what the Chiefs did. So now what is the NFL going to do? Cody has an idea on that next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
As you get ready to work on those spring projects in your house, do not forget the window source of Kansas City. Trusted for 20 years in this city, a father and son team who you know is going to handle the project right from the beginning. I've worked with Gary and Pierce for more than 2 years now, and I can tell you that they're two of the nicest people that I've worked with without that high-pressure sales environment. Happens a lot in windows. People show up. You've probably had a couple of quotes before, and they'll stand on the glass to tell you how break-resistant it is. They'll do all this stuff to try to convince you that their windows are better. The window source of Kansas City stands behind their product. It's a lifetime warranty. It's a best price guarantee. Certified master installers, which every company in Kansas City doesn't do. They will make sure your project is taken care of from front to back. And now all the lead times are down. Some of those COVID delays that were causing problems in some of the manufacturing, all that's done, which means you can get your project done quickly. If you need new windows, the only company in town you need to call is the window source of Kansas City. 913-333-6706. Or if you're in Lawrence or Topeka, call Gary, 785-320-2045. Or head over to windowsourceofkc.com.
This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Download FanDuel now and use promo code 610BOB so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. I'm taking the Chiefs on the money line with Travis Kelce scoring an anytime touchdown. And it's all on a top-rated sportsbook app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today with promo code 610BOB to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued with non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
So I was watching the playoffs this past weekend like everybody else, and I'm watching the New York Giants play. Their quarterback, Daniel Jones, at one point had to rush over to the sideline because his contact lens fell out. They're quickly grabbing the contact solution, quickly popping back in the contact. Get some LASIK, Daniel Jones. It's that simple. You don't have to worry about the contacts or glasses or anything like that. I don't know why he doesn't have LASIK yet, but all you have to do if you're in Kansas City and you're sick of dealing with those contacts like I was, just call DuraVision at 913-491-3330 and find out if you're a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. It's way more convenient than having to scramble around. You're probably not going to be as fortunate as Daniel Jones to have someone holding your contacts on the sideline for you like he was. So call up the best in Kansas City, Dr. Lindquist and the great team at DuraVision, and make that appointment. And right now, you can even save $1,000 with their friends and family discount. But hurry, the offer ends on February 28th. It's the friends and family offer, your chance to save $1,000 on your LASIK procedure. So go online to DuraVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
This report is brought to you by KC Customs. We put the customs in KC. KC-Customs.com. Guys, is your STD stressing you out, keeping you awake? Stock truck depression is real. Go see the pros at KC Customs. They have the truck accessories to cure your STD. Don't delay. Get to KC Customs at 8670 Green Hills Road today.
We love you, Chiefs fans.
Hey, man, you got to let your boy cook tonight, bro. Tyreek Hill's podcast is called It Needed to Be Said, and it should be called It Needed to Be Caught with his ball-dropping ass sitting at home. This was a manhood game, bro. The X's and O's aside, they challenged our manhood. Cincinnati fans all came down in a bus and quote-unquote took over downtown, but now they got their ass busted back to Kentucky. The Cincinnati mayor, the weakest dude in the clique talking stuff. Nah, we can't let that slide, bro.
610 Sports Radio.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold. Hanging out on a Tuesday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwartz with you. 30 minutes away from Nate Taylor in the studio with us from The Athletic. Get a little update from him on where things are at injury-wise for the Chiefs and also what he saw on Sunday night at Arrowhead and now what it likely means for The future of multiple guys on this roster. We talk about legacy type of stuff and narratives changing. Chris Jones' signature game happened on Sunday. The dollar amount that was floated out there weeks ago was 4 for $140. And now he's having the playoff success that he didn't have before that. Huh. Seems like somebody's going to get that payday.
I think he was going to get paid either way, but yeah, the postseason success stuff says
it's just like what are you going to
argue?
Pay him like, what are you going to argue? Push back? Like, it's gotten to a point where like, what's your other than if you're flat out against giving a contract to someone that's going to cross over 30? Other than that, like, what is the pushback?
Yeah, over 30 is the only argument for it.
Now you can structure it, and I don't think it's can you structure it to where it's a little more team friendly in terms of how it's structured? Sure, that's the stuff that's always negotiable, but I don't know how you're going to negotiate much on the actual per year average, and the guarantee money is going to have to be massive if you want to keep them in Kansas City.
I also still think that this is where having all these rookies that we talked about earlier is certainly going to help get some guys paid. Last
offseason, after the Chiefs defeated the Bills in overtime in the divisional round, 13-second drive, we all know that. The Chiefs won the coin toss. Josh Allen never got a chance. And all of a sudden, the NFL world felt so terrible for Buffalo, even though the Chiefs put in a proposal a couple years prior when they didn't have a chance against Tom Brady. And at that time, they didn't have enough votes, so they didn't vote on it. Last offseason, they voted on making sure both teams have a possession in overtime. It passed. We didn't see it play out so far. Came very close. came very very close, but it didn't happen. So that was like one of the rule changes that the Bills wanted. The NFL also said neutral site game. I know you and I disagree on this, but the NFL also let's help out Buffalo a little bit, maybe. Let's get a neutral site in case they get there. They don't
change a rule.
They don't have to go to Arrow, even though there's maybe a rule kind of already in place.
Well, there was a rule that
change in place. Win percentage.
Forfeit,
We'll go by win percentage. They didn't. What's next? What else are you gonna do?
Okay, so it appears to me what has happened here is what occurs across other sports. I've been told that it's pretty common in Formula One. I think we all witnessed this when Tiger Woods went through his dominance, and that's what's happening to Mahomes. Every single year, after somebody else loses to Mahomes because he's a freak of nature that no one can stop, instead of looking for ways to beat him, instead the first solution people look to is, how do we change the rules that help us instead? Because that's what's happening again. This was a conversation on the Round the Horn yesterday where somebody suggested changing the way the penalty is called after Patrick Mahomes got hit late.
Joseph Osai was 1 second too late for the biggest play of his life. And to Frank's point, I just really don't know what more he could have done there. He's going full speed at Patrick Mahomes, whose foot is about 15% out of bounds at that point. And if he pulls up, then Patrick Mahomes can tuck and, run a few more yards, pick up a first down, and then some. Like, he was kind of SOL at that point, to be quite honest with you. And to add injury to insult, you saw him hurt his knee there. He said to reporters after the game that he's going to have to get an MRI today. It's just unfair. And that's not the play that they lost the game on. There were plenty more moments for the Cincinnati Bengals that we can lay blame on more than the Joseph Osai unnecessary roughness play. I think we need to take a look at the unnecessary roughness rule as a whole. That should not be a 15-yard penalty.
Okay, get the hell out of here.
Just crying and whining.
Dude, he was out of bounds. You know how dangerous it is on an NFL sideline? Of all the times that I've told you, I don't think roughing should be called a little bit looser. Not on the sideline. There's a lot of movement. It's dangerous. Quarterbacks should be able to go out of bounds. You can't change a rule every time Patrick Mahomes beats you again. I'm dead serious. This happened like in golf. What happened was they just made every course longer. They were just like, the holes are going to be in different spots, like way harder, and we're going to like make the grass be longer, and we're going to make everything longer. And you're like, why? You're like, well, because otherwise this guy's an unstoppable force, and what the hell are we supposed to do if we just leave the sport the way that it is? Then one person will be able to dominate forever. This is what it feels like it's come down to, because there's already, as you pointed out, multiple instances. And that's the thing, like Tom Brady has done nothing but dominate. The only rule I can remember being changed that impacted a game he was in is the tuck rule. And honestly, thank God they changed it the year after. So he got burned once, right? They were like, we don't like this rule anymore. And honestly, that was the right call anyway. It doesn't make any sense that was an incomplete pass before. But it's like that, okay, they're going to change a rule because they're like, we don't like it anymore because it was Tom. But they didn't change it because of Tom. He wasn't Tom Brady yet then. He was a really good quarterback who was having some success, but he wasn't Tom Brady, he wasn't the full version.
I'm not as worried
every
about,
year we're going through this again.
I'm not as worried about that particular one, the out of bounds, like, because to me that is just crystal clear. I don't know. I've tried to like put myself outside of Kansas City. I truly don't watching it because the NFL Network had a replay of the game on last night, like a condensed version, and so maybe you watched it again last night. Every other football game, it is a penalty, and it was in that game. What? It was just like, oh, he was 15% out of bounds. How the hell do you get 15? Where do you hell are you get
what percentage?
15? Patrick Mahomes was fit. What? Because his number's 15. You just thought that sounded good. It was 15% out of bounds. What the hell are we doing?
The next one they're going to do is the neutral site. Arrowhead's too loud. It's too big of an advantage for Mahomes. He's just so good. He's always playing an Arrow for the AFC title game. Well, let's eliminate that. That's the most logical next rule change they'll move.
That's
right?
my big fear.
Because like it seems like they're always looking for something to make it a little less hard. Like, you know what? We actually decided that if you have a high ankle sprain, player safety, you can't play. We, can't risk it. Sorry, guys. You got a high ankle sprain, you just can't be out on the field. What are we doing here? You can't change rules just to stop one unstoppable force. Be like, hey, you know what? No more no-look passes. You got to look at the guy when you throw to him. This is an unfair advantage. You're like, because that's what that seems like to me. Asking for them to change, whoever asked for them to change the rules to less protect quarterbacks on the sideline?
It's just, she was just trying to create something there. I mean, when you're out of bounds, you're out of bounds. There's not he didn't have 1 foot in bounds and 1 foot out of bounds. He was entirely out of bounds. There's no 15% crap. None of that applies here. He was 100% out of bounds. That's why it's called out of bounds. We don't it's simple. I don't know why we're trying to make this way more complex than it is. And you're right. The mental gymnastics people have gone through in the last 24 hours to try to find ways that the Chiefs didn't flat out beat Cincinnati in every statistical category just about, which they did.
I think not even just about.
I think there's one or two. I can't remember. But penalties, they won that battle. Turnovers, sacks, first downs, passing yards, kickoff return yards, I believe, as well.
Probably punt return yards based on how that one went.
It's crazy.
It's just always looking for. I get it. There are athletes that make it, sports change a little bit, right? Swimming, and some of those Olympic sports go through this sometimes where they're like, if we let that guy use that swimsuit, it won't work, right? He's too fast. It's unfair. We have to find out ways that take away these little advantages. I feel like it happens a lot in Olympic sports. When somebody finds that niche, that little thing you can do, Gold, right? That thing you can take advantage of that kind of does it. He's just playing football better than you. This isn't some little small technicality. He's not closing a loop. It's not they think it's closing a loophole. To what? Allow a quarterback to be hit out of bounds? No. That's like Mike Vrabel taking advantage of the loophole and running the clock down on Bill Belichick. Fine, close that loop. Someone's taking advantage of a clear flaw in your rule system. This is not a flaw. But I think every year someone's going to be looking for something to take away in order to make it less of an advantage for Patrick Mahomes.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Nick, over in the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, the random question today brought to you by the window source of Kansas City. Group outing question for you.
Group outing.
Would you guys like to take a group of listeners together with you and me and Nick, and we all go get a few drinks, and then let's go see Cocaine Bear? You guys want to do that?
Oh, I thought you were going to finally pay up on the strip club that you're supposed to go to.
Why did you say no so quick?
I don't want to go see a movie called Cocaine Bear. That's a straight DVD movie. I'm not paying money to go see that. And that's not a group activity.
I'd like to make it a group activity.
No, isn't that the one with, what's his name? Ray Liotta or whatever?
But you don't talk to people during movies, Cody. It's not a social event.
That's why I said we would go
did you pick this
drinking before.
movie?
And also, Cocaine Bear is definitively going to be one of those loud movies that everybody has fun throughout because it looks absurd.
Are they paying you?
No, they're not paying me.
How much is Cocaine Bear paying you?
What are they paying you in?
$0. They're not paying me.
Nick, I'm just asking the questions,
anything.
man.
I'm just saying, let's go have some beers and go watch Cocaine Bear. I think a good portion of our listening audience would like to do that. I'm not sure why you guys are hesitating. Gold, you didn't give me a firm answer. Are you a no as well?
I don't care. Honestly. I like Ray Liotta, so you didn't answer my question, but I just double-checked. He is one of the characters, so I'm in that regard. Now, I don't know why we need to have a huge group outing for it. I think we can probably do better for a group outing than going to see Cocaine Bear. I think we can do better with our listeners. I think we can do better for them.
You think we can do better than going to see what? What would be better?
Anything.
So you don't have an idea. This is just Literally anybody
we
argument?
have a bet you have to pay off. You're supposed to go with listeners to a script club. You continue to hesitate. There's
I'm not ducking you. We had to wait till the end of the season.
Royal stuff we can do closer to the season,
Like what?
And
Just going to a Royals game? I'm looking for creativity.
Cocaine Bear is just a movie. You know, how, going to a movie, people don't talk to each other, so it's kind of like that's
Again,
why
I
it's
think
a
this
terrible.
movie will be different.
It's a bad first date. You don't even. You're just for 3 hours during the movie. You're not even talking. Same thing. We're gonna listeners. Let's all meet. Let's all buy movie tickets and then not talk to each other for 2 hours.
I think you can talk
That's
during a movie
terrible.
like Cocaine Bear.
I don't think you want to have open conversations.
You don't think we can all laugh and enjoy a movie? You've never enjoyed a movie as a collective in a theater?
Laughing is one thing, not open conversations. You can laugh.
We're sharing in a moment. Nick, are you not going to watch this movie?
Now, someone is right.
No, I said that up from the get-go.
It
We
does.
said it straight to DVD. That didn't imply if you weren't going to watch it.
Text line is correct. It does seem much better than 80 for Brady. So I'm in.
Okay.
We have to choose between
80 for Brady or Cocaine Bears.
I like the 816 just said, let's just do cocaine and see a real bear at the zoo.
Oh, jeez.
So
Maybe we'll find the Dallas monkeys that are missing.
I'm going to do this again, Cody, and I'm sorry to do this, but I feel like this is another instance of you didn't have anything planned for the random question of the day.
This was
you
was
think
my
something just
plan.
popped up and he
I
saw
think he
Cocaine
saw
Bear?
an ad for Cocaine Bear on his Twitter timeline. It was like,
Did you get a lot of
he
ads
was like,
for
oh,
cocaine?
shoot, I got to
No.
do a random question of the day here in like
This-
2 minutes.
I got bad news. This was my planned random question.
Are you going to go see it?
It's almost worse.
I had another one for tomorrow, but I wanted to
Why
do...
don't we go ahead and burn that one right now? Real
You
quick.
want to do tomorrow's too?
Yeah. 2 random questions.
This one I saw on social media, so I liked this one as well. But I liked the I wanted to see if everyone everyone says, by the way, on the text line,
Was that
that
real
they want to
quick,
go see this.
Was this Ray Liotta's last movie? Because he passed away in last.
Probably.
Was this like the last one he did?
Damn, way
This
to go
is
out
gonna
on
be
top.
the last one.
Way to go out on top.
This is gonna be the last one we see. Ugh.
All those great movies, and he gets to cap it off with Cocaine Bear. Fantastic career.
Someone says, "What's a
And life.
DVD?" Yeah, it's true.
What's a
straight to
DVD?
DVD, straight to Netflix, straight to
Nick aging himself
Hulu.
a little bit there. Yes, straight to streaming. The other one for what was supposed to be tomorrow.
Okay,
So I guess I'll have
let's
to come
hear
over
it.
tomorrow.
Let's hear it.
This was a question posed on social, which was: would you you only have these two choices: be stuck in the first job you ever got for the rest of your life,
Okay.
or have to marry the person you lost your virginity to?
Wait,
Wow.
wait, what was the first one?
Be stuck in the first job you ever had for the rest of your life, or get married to the person you lost your virginity to. Let's pretend in this case you're single, Nick. So you don't have the encumbrances of already
All right, real
being
quick,
Can I
pre-divorced.
work my way up at the job, or
Are you
is
stuck in
it
the
that
same
same
role?
position?
That position.
Oh, well, I can't take that. You can't. I'm gonna be miserable, even more miserable. I
I
feel
would be
like.
stocking shelves at Westlake Hardware for my entire life.
I would be
my only job.
a
You
cashier.
want to get married to the person? How nice is the person you lost your virginity to? Is the question here.
I would be.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I would be a cashier. I would be a cashier at Hen House for the rest of my life, and no way to move up. You said
Nope, just a cashier.
I can't
That's
do
it.
that.
Man, what a lucky
I have
lady.
to go back to her.
What was the first of the
Go
7,000
back
jobs
to her.
you had, Cody?
God, what was the first job? Working in a warehouse, probably. I was like 14, and I was doing like inventory at a warehouse.
See, if you would,
I'd choose that, by the way. I would just do that forever. I just put on I put on headphones or whatever and count up serial numbers or scan them or whatever. It's fine. I do that versus marry the person. I'm not going back in time.
someone
Well,
says,
we'd all three be well below the poverty line.
someone says, so easy. Come on, dishwasher at Cece's Pizza or a fine brunette. Easy. That's what someone from that 1-3 says.
Apparently, looks upon his first dalliance fondly. Like, do you even are they nice people still? That's really.
I
the
haven't
question
talked to her in 10 years. And I believe she's engaged. We're friends on Facebook.
That's
so I
not
think
important as part of this conversation. So you got like a good idea. Be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
good times. That was the other one. That was tomorrow's, but we can. I'll get a new one.
That
for
was
tomorrow.
I'll give you that one. That was a random question. That was a random question.
A truly random question. You like that? You guys like that question better than the Cocaine Bear one?
I think so. Yeah, required more
says
required more
what?
thought on my behalf.
You're trying to decide if you wanted to be a stalker at Westlake for the rest of your life, or if you liked the person you haven't heard from in 20 years.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. That's the random question today, brought to you by the Window Source of Kansas City.
You don't involve.
Two random
You don't
questions.
involve the listeners anymore in your questions. It's
Oh, no, they're
it's
what?
just for us now.
No, I'm sorry. Let's see what the text line has to say. I'd marry Skip Bayless and work at Sonic for the rest of my life.
Yikes.
Let's see. Some of these people are like, I just don't know what they're doing. right? I mean,
that's fair. That's fair. You lose track.
Well, then you're basing it off of how do you think they ended up as an adult based on how they were?
Well, I hope they were an adult before too, Cody.
I mean, at the age of
I hope
18,
I hope they were an adult as well.
However old you were when you. Let's do that now. You random question.
Now yours.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
Now for you bring up the story of the 35-year-old woman when you were 16 at a club.
We didn't have sex.
You told that story. He brought that on the air. Training camp.
But you're saying as an adult, but I lost my virginity. I was 15. I wasn't an adult.
Yeah, well, I wasn't 15.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily make you an adult, even if you were 18. It doesn't,
No, 18, you are an adult.
Okay, fine, but whatever.
Since when were you not an adult at 18?
Yeah. If you're still in high school, it feels like you're a kid.
I'm just talking legally.
Yeah.
An adult.
When do you think adulthood begins?
I guess 18.
I guess
21. I don't feel like you're really an adult till you have an apartment or something.
Oh.
Have your own place. Have a job.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you definitely felt like you were. Yeah,
I wasn't talking about the legal definition of adult.
I was also giving you a hard time with just how you said it to begin with.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you for the question. We'll ask Nate Taylor the exact same questions.
Ask him both.
Ask him.
Ask him both questions.
Oh, man. Oh, the text line and some of those I cannot read on there. Trust me, I think they're funny. I can't read them on the air, though. We appreciate the text. 913-586-7610. Oh, man. Let's get back to a little football before Nate Taylor comes in studio, and we'll just talk football and random questions.
We're all going to go to Cocaine Bear, but you have to bring the person you lost your virginity to the movie.
Do you think you could get that person to actually show up? Any chance? Any remote chance?
Me?
Like a 5% chance? A 1%
I think
chance?
5 or 10% chance.
The person doesn't even live in Kansas City anymore, so there's no way. There's no chance.
But they happen to be in town.
Happen to be in town?
Well, they used to live in town, presumably, at some point.
I don't know if they actually ever lived in Kansas City. But anyway.
Oh, man. Good times. Okay, well. This one completely fell apart, clearly. Could have gone a bunch of different ways, and it went the worst.
There's no transition I can do here. We're just going to go back to Sunday's game. And
speaking of cocaine and bears.
You could have said Chris Jones played like a cocaine bear and tried to make a transition, but it was going to be tough. I'm just saying you could have tried something. All right, move on. Talk about the game.
Can we talk about MVS, please?
Yes.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He basically had the game of his career on Sunday. Certainly,
considering the moment, yeah.
What was at stake, and it was, Juju's hurt, Kadarius Toney's hurt, McCole Hardman's hurt, and it's him, and it's Marcus Kemp and Sky Moore out there, and MVS gives you 100+ yards, gets you a touchdown reception. That game showed me that he's capable of stepping up in those big moments. To me, it put to bed any question that, hey, it's a 3-year contract, but they could technically get out of it and not have to spend a whole lot of money after this year.
They would only cost him $4 million to cut him.
I think that has been put to rest. One, I just look at who's under contract anyway. Not many guys at wide receiver.
Sure.
And he had an MVS-type season.
700 yards.
But he also just stepped up in a huge, huge way. And depending on the health of Toney and Hardman and Juju in a couple weeks, they might need him to have a huge role again.
Because of his career time with the Packers, they were obviously a competitive team. They were in the playoffs a lot, Gold. But, they flamed out kind of early. I wasn't really sure what kind of playoff performer he was going to be. Because even guys who can disappoint you in the regular season can show up in these huge moments. Sammy Watkins always kind of stands out to me in that regard. Sammy Watkins had a largely very disappointing career in Kansas City from a regular season perspective. He couldn't stay on the field. But when the lights were on, pretty bright, Sammy Watkins showed up for this team, Gold. And I feel like MVS had a pretty boring year. It's like 700-yard receivers, a million times over, especially with the draft the way it works now. They're not hard receivers to find. But in a moment when they were desperate for it, MVS had his single biggest game? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, this goes back to maybe the depth of the wide receiver thing that we talked about the entire year. That if you really did get, the reason why you needed the depth is, if it ever got tested, could you still hang? And when it came down to MVS, Sky Moore, Marcus Kemp, they still had someone they could throw to at the receiver position. They didn't have to just throw it to Travis Kelce on every single snap. And MVS is more dangerous than D-Rob ever was, even if he is the third or fourth or fifth option in this offense, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, MVS was able to consistently get separation from Eli Apple and others in particular on Sunday. And then also, like, looking ahead to the future, the other reason why I think you don't have to worry about opting out of that contract is Tony, Sky Moore, and MVS basically are the wide receivers under contract, and Kadarius Toney is hurt yet again. And so one of the big questions heading into next season, even if Tony comes back from this ankle injury for the Super Bowl, will be like, is he someone you can rely on to get anywhere near 17 games next year? And I think the answer is no.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not penciling that in at all.
So that's another reason why also I think you are going to roll with MVS again next year, and you're not opting out of that thing whatsoever. They're going to have to decide on Juju and also draft and other free agents and what they want to do. But because right now, heading into next season, as far as who in the wide receiver group who do you think can play 17 games? It's Sky Moore and it's MVS right now heading into next year. I don't trust Tony, and Hardman's not under contract. Even if you bring Hardman back, I can't trust that he's going to get back for 17.
The good news is for them, it's the same thing as like the Travis Kelce factor. He plays in all 17 games every year, Gold. Right? I mean, every player in the NFL is not going to stay healthy. Tony clearly seems like he's lining up for the not going to stay healthy one. But if MVS can stay on the field, get 700 yards, he has real value. 3 years for $30 million for a number 3 wide receiver right now, that's good value in the NFL. In fact, he'll cost you $11 million next year, that's good value. Look, you can make a call when he costs 14. When he costs 14 and only costs you $2 million to let go, you know what else will probably depend? Even more so than what he's doing will matter what the receivers they drafted this year in Sky Moore and whichever receiver they draft next year, because they will, is doing. That will matter way more for MVS's future, even more so than MVS's, because next year I can tell you what MVS will have. Somewhere between 650 and 750 yards, somewhere between 2 and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, MVS's performance is another I think, positive for what Brett Veach was able to do this offseason. I mean, that performance alone, that was another good signing for Kansas City. Add in all the rookies that we've talked about throughout the show. I mean, that add MVS, I think he deserves credit for that signing as well. I think it worked out just not only because of what he did on Sunday night, but he had an MVS type of season. 710 yards, something like that, receiving. All right, we'll talk more about MVS and some of the decisions moving forward and obviously how we've gotten to this point with Nate Taylor from The Athletic as he joins us in studio right here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. This football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer needed. The brutal side effects like 4-hour headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. And right now, we're offering a free treatment just for coming in. That's right. You can try this treatment at no cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health. It's about a better life.
Call now, 913-363-9439. That's 913-363-9439. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
I'm Brad. I've been with Overhead Door Company of Kansas City for almost 20 years. What we see a lot of in the wintertime is customers sliding into their doors because of icy conditions in their driveway. So hit doors, broken springs, doors stuck to the ground due to ice, bottom rubber ripped off, things like that.
Cold weather wins every time, but we'll get you prepared. Overhead Door Company of Kansas City since 1927.
OverheadDoorKC.com.
If you are a local business owner, it's probably been a bumpy ride from pandemic to inflation. Did you know that if your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee? Not a lot of people know about this. It isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape? Get your business the refund money? Well, go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you as well. They do all the work, no charges up front. You simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to GetRefund.com, click on Qualify Me, refunds.com.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms. While supplies last, points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds. And we feel great.
Seminars Wednesday, February 22nd at the Sure Stay Plus by Best Western Kansas City. Or Thursday, February 23rd, Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park West and Overland Park. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Football, and more football. Whether you go to the game or have the party at your house, you need Smokehouse Barbecue. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. Or if you're hosting your own party in the KC Metro, invite Smokehouse to cater and deliver. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about Smokehouse Barbecue's hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Check them out at smokehousebbq.com. For over 30 years and family-owned and operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
All right, 1 o'clock hour here. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwert with you. Nate Taylor in studio, as he is every Tuesday, of course, from The Athletic. You heard him last night with CDOT on the Nate Taylor Show. Nate Taylor, once again, how many Super Bowls that you've covered. Is this your third as well, or did you cover one elsewhere? Something I'm missing?
No, this is my third. Covering a team specific. I would just like to remind everybody that since I joined the beat coverage, since I've been the really the sole primary beat writer of the Chiefs for The Athletic, they have gone to 5 straight AFC Championship games, all of them at home. I have yet to cover a road postseason game.
You got us beat it because we're 3 years of the show.
4 years of the show, like 4 postseasons of the show.
And so
we
now,
got a better percentage though of Super Bowls. We're 75%. You're only 60.
Hey. So yes, this will be the third Super Bowl that I get to cover. The first fellas that we get to cover in person since 2019.
I know. That's right. That'll be nice.
A real radio row.
Yes, 100%.
Isn't it kind of
Get me ready to see any legend I haven't thought about in decades.
Did you know you're gonna love seeing like Ronnie Lott or whatever? It's always dudes like that.
I think Joe Montana was. I think obviously in 2019 they were playing the 49ers. It was it was Joe Montana's paradise. When I saw Joe Montana for the first time in person, I was like,
Montana wouldn't any local KC radio though. I remember we tried.
He was very much. I am obviously a 49ers legend. And obviously I helped the Chiefs get to the last AFC Championship game before Patrick Mahomes was on the roster. So, but I remember talking to him and just being like, kind of in a marvel, like just marveling about like who would have thought, man? Like, how about this? And obviously getting his perspective on Patrick Mahomes, and it's only grown. Like he's, I remember him and Kurt Warner both telling me in Miami before they played the game, no, he the best quarterback I've ever seen. And I was like, really?
They're right.
And Kurt Warner was like, Nate, he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. And then obviously we saw what happened in Super Bowl 54, and I was just like, well, it's all. These are why the guys are important to talk to, who really know, study the game, have obviously played the game, and they were right. They were right.
Who's still on that list, by the way? I think of my childhood favorite athletes, there's only 2 I haven't met that I'm like, I think I'd gush over. They are Ken Griffey Jr. and Dan Marino. If I can mean either of those,
Marino, really?
I grew up loving watching Marino.
Who did love watching Marino, man?
So it's those 2
zingers.
So Marino,
Griffey is like top of the list. Like, dude,
that's interesting. Like, I get the Griffey. I totally get Griffey. For Marino, like, is great. That for me, like, I don't know. Growing up in Kansas City, that wasn't it for me. But I get the Griffey one. I totally get. I don't know. I don't have it. There's not many. I don't know if I ever had like a long list.
Those are the 2 left.
Gonzalez for a while was one, but we've talked about it multiple times.
And you've met him by now. Right? He's been on this show.
I have met him.
Has he given you good vibes? Good interaction?
He was pretty good on the show.
Yeah, we had him
by this. Like, I always try to tell people like Tony Gonzalez is better than you think he is, just to like interact with, be around. Like he's always been great.
He's very laid back.
Yes.
In person.
Yes.
Like I feel like that counts for something. Is there somebody else still on your list, Nate?
That I haven't met?
Yeah.
Man, Ken Griffey is up there.
Dude, that's got to be a top
It's up there.
Anybody our age, it's like that's like the top of the list.
Yeah. So I used to cover the NBA. So I've met just about everybody from that generation on. Like,
Sure.
it's not every day. I don't need to get to the Larry Bird stories, but basically, I used to obviously interview Larry Bird when he was like the team president for the Pacers. And then he is his sort of extension to everybody else of NBA history.
Literally anyone.
It was really helpful. In the football era, if I could meet Barry Sanders,
okay,
I would hug.
I've never met. I've interviewed him, but never met him before.
I've never met him. I adore Barry Sanders. Like I know some of them runs were not great, but the ones that were great are just woo. So good. That's not how we drew it up, Barry. And I got 25 yards. The both easy and hard way.
It's going to be awesome next week in Glendale as we got Nate Taylor from The Athletic in studio with us. But how the Chiefs got to this point, we've been talking about that throughout the last 24 hours or so, and looking at what Brett Veach has been able to do with this roster, considering where the money has been allocated to really 6 players taking up a bulk of the salary. Like when you're hitting on the draft picks at this rate, like this is how you do wind up in another Super Bowl. Nobody's expecting him to continue on this track, but he now has some wiggle room, too, even for this upcoming draft, just in terms of knowing that this defense has so many young pieces now that are going to have Super Bowl experience, too, and maybe a Super Bowl win.
They went from picking through necessity to now they might be picking from a place of luxury, especially obviously if they win the Super Bowl, of course. Really, the thing that I don't know if it went under the radar. Obviously, I've reported and written about it in the past, but just the continuity that they had in two unprecedented manners. They had the same coaching staff, and I've had much of the same coaching staff since the defensive overhaul in 2019, right? Same coordinators, same position players. You know, hey, all of a sudden it's Mike Kafka leaving, it's Matt House leaving, but mostly like the nucleus is still there. Obviously, bringing in Matt Nagy helps. And then in the front office, they pretty much had the same front office continuity until the start of
Ryan Poles, right?
Until Ryan Poles left. And those two things working in tandem allowed them to have these good drafts, allowed them to know we're not changing course in the middle of the scouting process or the middle of the draft process, or we went to the combine with clear intentions, with clear goals in mind, what we really want to get out of the interviews and obviously the testing. Some teams don't love the testing at the combine. Some teams want to have a mix of testing at the combine and the Senior Bowl and the pro days and the East-West Shrine Bowl. Like, they are doing a complete composite of the draft process. And then obviously they do a lot of research. They have a lot of scouts who have spent time on those college campuses really trying to get to understand who the player is from a person, obviously from an athlete standpoint, and how those two are intertwined. It's amazing that they have both had a coaching staff that has told them, here's what we want, and then they have a front office that has been willing to do anything and everything to try to fulfill that. Now, of course, when the season ends, you change things, you try to identify certain stuff, but ultimately, the reason why these rookies are so good is because they found durable, reliable, growing players, like, i.e. they haven't reached their athletic max yet. And then they have a coaching staff who says, we will bring you along the course of the season, maybe a little bit slower than the common fan wants, but what really matters, because we have, again, these 6 to 7 really core veteran players who have been through this before, they're going to help teach you. We're going to coach you along the way so that you can be at your best when your best is needed, which is the AFC Championship game against an opponent you hadn't beaten in 3 straight times, and they have plenty of stars across their roster. So there's going to be a fun conversation about, like, the Eagles have the best roster, top to bottom. So that gap is getting shorter and shorter the further you get from the start of the regular season to the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs have somehow executed this pretty well in terms of, yes, you still have the best quarterback. He might be injured, but, playing exceptional, even still. The defense has gotten better over the course of the season. The coaches, that's where the advantage might be on Sunday against the Eagles. You have a real coaching advantage, and they've demonstrated that yet again this season.
I guess I always had high hopes because I thought he was going to be great. But considering he missed the amount of time he did, are you surprised Trent McDuffie's this good?
No.
Like, he stands out to me, Nate. Well, I told them, I don't know, we were talking like week 8 or 9. I was like, he's going to be the best corner by the end of the year on this team. They're like, the best corner? I'm like, the best corner.
The best. Like, it's not even close.
I'm like, I think Snead's really good. I think Trent McDuffie's the best corner on this team.
Pure corner.
Yes.
Pure corner.
Yeah. Snead does everything. He blitzes. He does so many other things. I was talking about a guy who stands up there and guards Jamar Chase. Going to have to guard A.J. Brown. Going to have to guard, an important wide receiver on the opposite, Devontae Smith. He's going to have to guard somebody.
Yes, and I love that matchup. I'm like, based on size and body type and what each player can do, like, put them on the field. Like, they're not going to obviously shadow with Trent McDuffie, but if you could, I would choose Devontae. Just like, hey, that's your guy. Like, he's a route running expertise. Guess who got the best hips and feet on the team? You do. The moment I realized that Trent McDuffie was indeed the best quarterback on the team was the Bengals were like, in the first matchup, in the middle of the second quarter, they were like, we're gonna try another fade route to Chase. This is a matchup we have always won.
Oh yeah, there's Shavarius Ward over the top of his head.
Ward. I don't care if it's Fenton. I don't care if it's Snead. Obviously, we're gonna test Joshua Williams because Jalen Watson wasn't available for that game. Second quarter, let's see what he can do. He ran an eye route. He shoved him. He jammed him. Then he got physical with him in his hips, in his feet, and his eyes were in place. And then, of course, he, as like a veteran, just slowly pushed him to the sideline. And of course, Jamar Chase had like a Jordan-esque like
jump over his head.
Yes, like but he was out of bounds. Cause you're not gonna do that against me. You can have a highlight, but it ain't gonna count in the box score. And you know what? All right, where's Joshua Williams at? Because he about to get all these reps in the second half, and that's where they targeted.
I thought in the last 2 games they really made Jamar Chase work.
Yes,
like I know that he ended up with decent stat lines, but in both of those games he had to work for those stat lines. You know,
yes.
wasn't easy. Wasn't like you just show up and get 110 yards and you didn't have to do anything.
Right, or you're just running freely. You know, they really challenged them. I mean, that was the crazy thing, and I wrote this, for today's story in The Athletic, just about the rookies as a whole, but I started on the idea of like on the 4th play, you lose your best, most veteran corner in L'Jarius Sneed in terms of variety, in terms of flexibility, in terms of, making it hard to disguise what the coverage is because Sneed could be inside and outside. Obviously, he can do a range of things that you're not asking these rookies for. So he's out of the game by the 5th snap. And it's just like, you're telling me it's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd against rookie. Dog. And they were just like, yeah, we're just going to play cover 1. We're just going to play a lot of cover 2 disguising, a little bit of robber. Obviously, we're going to play some quarters at times just to mix it up. But mostly, we're going to be in these dudes' face. And we're going to run step for step with them. And if you want to throw them 50-50 go-get-it balls, all right, there's your best option based on what is coming in terms of the live play. So it was fascinating to know that they challenged them, that they were step for step with them. And like you said, there wasn't a highlight where it's like, man, he's 5 yards behind the defense with the ball in the air. That wasn't the case. Brian Cook gets exposed on one route. They were on the same route with a different receiver from a different side of the formation. Just so hey, keep things a little shaky for the rookie. Rookie's like, I ain't gonna get beat again. Oh, you running another up and out? Okay, cool. Like, all right, here we go.
Tip it to Watson.
Where's the ball? And he made a play. So yeah, they've done a fantastic job.
In a weird way, McDuffie missing so much time early actually, which forced Watson and Williams back into more playing time. In a way, that actually paid off for them come playoff time. To your point about trying to slowly build them up, if McDuffie plays from week 1 on, Joshua Williams doesn't get nearly the experience, and who knows what he's able to do in the AFC title game. It might have been much more problematic. We got Nate Taylor from The Athletic in studio. I think we all agree, though, with Chris Jones. Like, that was his signature game of his career. That was you're looking for moments. I understand he already won a ring, but that was his signature moment we had all been waiting for. Can he step up in the biggest possible moment in a playoff game? And boy, did he ever, multiple times throughout the game. But then, of course, really what ended up being a game-sealing sack because it set the offense back up to get the football. I mean, he was as dominant as you can possibly be on a football field.
I want to give credit where credit is due. Chris Jones obviously had his best game. He chose the perfect moment to have a postseason classic type of performance, both inside and obviously on the edge. People can go look this up. Arrowhead Pride retweeted this earlier today.
Oh, did you, Nick? Did you retweet that, Nick? No, that wasn't you.
Shout out to Pete Sweeney.
What, Nate? I'm standing where you can't shout me out. I'm 5 feet away from you.
You're not the editor-in-chief.
You run the Twitter account. I saw it.
Sometimes, we all kick into that bucket.
Was it earlier today?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate your honesty. Authenticity is important.
Who's ready to give you credit?
Genuineness is necessary in life. But yeah, shout out to the people who run the Arrowhead Arrowhead Pride Twitter account. Shout out to you. They retweeted. I don't know how to pronounce it. I mean, guys, handles are hilarious. Basically, it's a young fella. How you pronounce this? Crimso?
Sure.
It works for me, man. It works.
Crimso 86.
No one's arguing with that.
He quote tweeted the moment where CBS cameras found Chris Jones in his element tearing during the national anthem.
Yeah.
And Crimso said, quote, I knew it was over for Burrow when I saw this. A single stream of tear coming out of Chris Jones's eyes.
Did anybody ask him about the tear?
I haven't yet.
I didn't. Legit question.
I didn't see it, obviously, because I was in the stadium.
I don't want to ruin the moment because it fits the whole storyline. It's perfect. But then if you watch in the second half late, after he got the last sack and he's watching the Chiefs, They cut to Chris, and he's got another tear. My question is, was it just?
You're saying, is it sweat?
No.
You're starting a conspiracy theory?
I'm saying I was at the game as well. It was so damn cold, my eyes watered. I'm asking if his eyes were watering, not really crying. That's all. I know it kills the story.
I will get you that information.
Please do. That's why we like you, Nate. We know you'll get to the bottom.
Nah, dude, look at the way he's rocking, and listen to that national anthem, and tell me he's not crying.
I mean,
we'll find out. Maybe he was.
He was summoning all the greatness.
He was. And he was great.
He was incredible. I mean, they don't score a touchdown before halftime because Chris Jones literally pushes 2 offensive linemen into Joe Burrow's lap, and he's like, I can't get the ball off comfortably. I can't get a follow through on my throw, which is why the ball goes high. And then they're like, all right, come on, let's kick the field goal. I mean, it's him. You know, they moved him around. Obviously, I think it's JP who put out the tweet earlier. I guess it was yesterday saying that, like, you know, the Chiefs deliberately put him just at 3 tech whole game, first matchup, so that they could just move him around in the second matchup.
That's wild.
I mean, that's chess. I mean, that's a game of chess where
they double teamed him like 85% of the time. It didn't matter.
It did not matter. And obviously, it helps when, you know, some of your starters aren't available. I mean, this is where injuries come into play. Chris has given maximum effort. He's played the most offensive snaps on the D-line all season, and he has played extremely well with that much of a burden to carry this defense. It's
how do you not pay the guy now?
Oh, it's impossible. I mean, it's a storybook.
Like, how are you? I mean, let's say it's 4 for 120. What is your argument? Unless you're just flat out against giving somebody money over the age of 30,
like just find a way to structure it. I think if I was in the room with Chris Shea and Brent Tillis and Mike Bradway and obviously Brett Veach and Andy Reid and Clark Hunt, I always like to acknowledge that, like, it's Clark Hunt manages the cap. He is part of the finance committee.
He's going to have to put some net money in escrow.
Yep. What I would tell those guys is figure out the best way to structure it. Like, that's where we are now. Like,
we're not going to sign him. Just
figure out the best way to structure it for the team and for him, you know, because obviously if you're going to give him an extension, you want to guarantee that player usually is on the team for the next 2 years. And then it's year 3 that gets a little tricky, and then year 4 is basically funny money. If it's a 4-year deal. Obviously,
which is how it worked the last time.
Yeah, if it's a 5-year deal, then that might change things a little bit. You might give more money in the signing bonus of a 5-year deal, so that obviously it's a little more smooth or even based on how most of these things are structured than compared to a 3-year or a 4-year deal. So there's benefits to 3, 4, 5. Just find the best way to structure it because he'd have valuable. Aaron Donald is closer to retirement than obviously what he was in 2020. Chris Jones is in the prime of his career, and he's now got a system that can work with players that can replicate it again, whether it's Karlaftis, whether you bring back Frank Clark or another veteran like Carlos Dunlap. They might obviously draft another player at the defensive line position anyway. Obviously, Colin Saunders is a free agent, but Joe Cullen and Steve Spagnuolo have figured out a system, and it starts with him, and you should just try to continue that over the next 2 seasons.
Look, maybe this is just one of those cases of getting it right, but Joe Cullen in preseason, having barely been with his team, saying that Chris Jones was going to have to be great for them to...
He was going to have a career year.
He says he's going to have a career year for us to hold the Lombardi Trophy. I had a chance to hold the Lombardi Trophy. Yeah. I was like, I mean, damn, he was right. But he also, he got him there. Like, to me, like, this ends a lot of the Chris Jones stuff. And this is not trying to diminish his job. I still think it's the depth of the defensive line, why they have gotten so much better defensively. They run like other great defensive lines. They run 7 deep.
Yep.
Michael Dan is like your 5th best pass rusher, your 6th best pass rusher, but he can consistently get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, you might put Clark and Dunlap and Jones and Karlaftis all above him, but Dana can get pressure and did in that game too.
Yes,
by the way,
he really did. Yeah.
And Colin Saunders, you mentioned, have a really nice year. Like when you're running 6 or 7 deep at the defensive line, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's going to be great because Philadelphia just played a team with a similar kind of defensive line, a similar kind of star in Nick Bosa, and it was a bit tricky at times for them. They weren't, as dominant as I think the scoreboard indicates. Obviously, we know what happened.
They got the 4th quarterback and then back to their 3rd quarterback.
Yeah, we know what happened. Yeah, with Brock Purdy, and that's unfortunate. But this will be another test for them in a particularly different way, which is, hey, you know where Nick Bosa is going to line up every time. It's either coming in the quarterback's face or at his obvious most blind side spot. They're going to move Chris Jones around. Mike Dana can rush inside. Now they've showed, which was different from the first matchup, Carlos Dunlap can now rush inside in certain areas. So it's fascinating to see what they think the weak point is for the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Obviously, that includes Lane Johnson. What happens with him over the next 10 or so days before kickoff. But this is going to be a great matchup because the Eagles, from beginning to end, have pretty much had the best offensive line in football. And the Chiefs had the second most sacks of any team in the regular season.
2 only? The Eagles.
Yep. And it was fascinating to me that we were like, hey, man, 55 sacks, that's really good. That's both scheme and player driven. Obviously, that involves the blitz. But, are we sure this is going to be applicable to the better teams, right? The Jaguars, who are getting better over the course of the second half of the season. Obviously, Cincinnati, who had done a very good job the last 2 times these teams have played, obviously with different sets of linemen. But let's translate it. It's applied. It's something that you have to put into consideration when you think about the Super Bowl matchup. But yeah, Chris Jones is going to be a Chief next year, guys. I think we can all put that behind us.
On a smaller scale, another player to me ended the question of whether or not they would opt out of a 3-year contract is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I thought he had a pretty decent normal MVS season that you would expect, and then he stepped up in the biggest moment when they were down to him and Marcus Kemp and Sky Moore out there. Jody Fortson at times lined up at wide receiver. I mean, they were down to it.
I forgot Marcus Kemp was on the roster.
He barely was activated.
He got elevated.
Yeah.
He got activated and elevated.
Probably only because Cincinnati claimed Le Mans.
There's a chance it all came together because of that.
But between that and Justin Watson having his illness towards the end of the practice week, I should say last week.
Yeah,
all those factors are why Marcus Kemp is on the field and gotta have it
unreal
downs. It's crazy.
But I think MVS, if there was any talk of opting out, saving money, I think that's ended to me when I look at what he was able to do in a big moment, and then also looking at who's under contract next year. And Kadarius Toney yet again is hurt. I'm sorry, guys. It sucks, but he's not somebody I can go in next season thinking he's playing more than 12 games next season for me. So if you do that, then it's Toney and it's Sky Moore and it's MVS. You have to bring back MVS next year. To me, you're not opting out of that contract.
Well, that's the best game in Marquez Valdez-Scantling's career, regular season or postseason, given the circumstances, given the stakes. And, yeah, he was wide receiver 1 from about, middle of the second quarter on?
And he got separation.
Yeah. Juju came back in that game briefly, but then was immediately back out. So.
Yeah. And, look, I thought MVS was on the roster next year anyway, just because the wide receiver market for free agency is not going to be that very deep. So it was part of the reason why the contract was structured the way it was. I also think Marquez understands the value of having an elite to the world's best quarterback coming from Aaron Rodgers. So he understands that his production is tied to the quarterback. He saw how much the Chiefs wanted and sort of valued his skill set. So I would have been surprised, even if things had gone a different way on Sunday, that the team wouldn't have brought him back. I mean, now what I will tell you too is that they're likely to draft another receiver.
As they should, totally, yeah.
But MVS is part of the mix. I think his yards and production were hidden for this reason, beyond just the raw stats that you can read on a website or on paper. Think of every Travis Kelce highlight this season in the intermediate to deep range. It involves Marquez Valdez-Scantling's speed being real and making a safety decide what you want to do. The safety has to say, do I need to cover Marquez Valdez-Scantling because the quarterback can get the ball over my head if I let him get behind me because I'm so focused on Travis Kelce. And then, I'm sorry, my teammate who's a linebacker, I got to cover this guy. He's running a deep post or he's running a 9 route. And then the corner or whatever sophisticated zone, look that Kelce wants to get 12 yards downfield, I can't let him. Every defensive coordinator has told all the secondary players, do not let Mahomes get the ball over your head, even without Tyreek Hill, because MVS speed is real and legitimate. So MVS helped Kelce in a number of ways. And now it's so fascinating. It's the opposite. Yeah. Kelce gets the double teams throughout much of that game from the Bengals, and it sets up all these one-on-ones for Marquez Valdez-Scantling to absolutely cook Eli Apple and to win a one-on-one incredible critical situation.
Mike Hilton. I whooped that guy all. Basically, what did Vinnie say?
I whooped him all day.
Which he did.
Essentially what he did.
Which he did.
Yeah.
How many people are going to butcher his name all week at Super Bowl Radio Row next week?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
He'll correct him.
Oh, I know. How many times is he going to correct people?
He gets such joy out of doing that. He really does.
It seems like
every time he comes up on him, please say my name right, and I'm like Marquez.
All right,
well, the name is Marquez, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Let me build some credibility. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Real quick, we had a random question today before we let you go. Cody threw us 2 random questions today.
Yeah.
Would you like to ask both of them,
Okay,
please?
so the first one was, do you want to go get drunk or get some drinks and watch Cocaine Bear?
It's a movie that's coming out.
I'm sure he's familiar with it.
Yeah, I am. As someone who
have you already seen it?
No, God,
okay,
no.
Okay.
I don't think it's come out yet.
I'm more in favor of saying yes if I'm in a controlled environment.
There we go. See,
so sure.
Nate gets it.
I don't even do they have 2 good scenes in this movie? That's all I'm asking.
I guarantee you they do.
Okay, if there's
Ray
2.
Liotta's in it. It can't be that.
To me, this is like the movie we're all having fun in the theater. Nobody cares if they're laughing and enjoying themselves.
Yes is my answer.
Okay, so Nate's good for that.
2.
The second one was, assuming not your current relationship status, if you had to choose, would you keep the first job you ever had forever? That's going to be your job for life, or get married to the person that you lost your virginity to?
Why you put me in there? Why?
Thanks for coming on with us this year, Nate.
Why you do this to me? Why? All right, let me get to the answer.
What was your first job? Let's start there.
Are we talking like first job out of college or just first
job? That's your job. Like he said, he was a stalker at Westlake Hardware. That's just your gig.
Yeah, I worked at a grocery store.
I'm gonna ask myself. I'm gonna work myself up.
No, that's Cody told us we can't get promoted. That was the other part.
I don't like get promoted.
Yeah. He said we can't.
In the store you can get promoted. That help you?
Yeah, he said
you can't go beyond. You can't be like, you got to work that job.
Then I'm gonna have to make this relationship work.
I thought someone said it best. They go, you can either be broke and miserable or just miserable. So
or you got to marry someone who makes a lot of money.
We gotta make it work. We gotta make it work, girl. We gotta make it work. Some people can. Because I'm from here and because I love our city, I'm sure somebody has figured out who my first girlfriend was. Lovely woman, encouraged her greatly in life. We were so young and so dumb, but baby, we gonna have to make this work.
We had some good times
I think we both made great decisions since, and I think both of us are doing just fine. I love Holly. I want to make that very clear. Holly will be coming with me to Arizona.
Hey, okay.
Awesome.
So she was living and dying on every snap.
Nick, Cody didn't tell us that. Do you think is Cody bringing his wife and kids to the Airbnb for this?
No, it's just the missus.
Okay,
just the missus because we got a lot of work to do.
Cody didn't tell us.
I was bringing my kids.
Shut up with the whole family.
Well, my kid has been asking to go. She says she has money.
Ooh.
She's like, I have money. I was like, you have that amount of money? How much you been saving? You got like $50.
Hey,
I gotta get it
shout out
done.
to her, man. Get the.
Dude, she was right. She's been saving all that money, and she's just been ready to cash in. I actually counted. I think it was like $100. I was like, we're almost there.
Yeah, at one point, Hayden, my son, had like $86, and I was like, man, you are just. What you gonna do with it, son? Like, now, we obviously will get to fiscal responsibility when you get a little older. But like, hey, man, like you're doing.
She's 6. Burn it.
Yeah, you're doing good in school, or doing well in school. Obviously, grandparents love you, so like, I mean, that's just a cash you can check any day. But yeah, that's so fun. I mean, it's been a great year, fellas. I can't believe we ended on this note. The idea that y'all forced me into this type of mind. It's even worse than do I want MVS run behind me or do I just want Travis Kelce to eat in the middle of the field? What decision do I want to make? Why y'all put me in a harder mind than the safeties of NFL teams?
Despite that question, I hope you will join us on Radio Row next week in Glendale. Nate Taylor from The Athletic, of course, the Nate Taylor Show, Monday nights right here on 610 Sports Radio. Up next, though, you'll hear our conversation with our NFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino, who was at Arrowhead for the first time.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Download FanDuel now and use promo code 610BOB so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. $10 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. I'm taking the Chiefs on the money line with Travis Kelce scoring an anytime touchdown. And it's all on a top-rated sportsbook app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today with promo code 610BOB to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued with non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Click Grainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supply, on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescription products require an online station with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online. Go to 4hims.com/joy and discreet shipping if prescribed. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIS.com/JOY.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
At Anthony, we get the job done right the first time. That's why you know us as the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Right now, receive 50% off a new furnace when you purchase a new AC. Schedule online today at AnthonyPHCE.com.
$2 each. Only in time.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwert with you again. Thanks today, Taylor from The Athletic, for joining us in studio. You guys remember we mentioned this last week when we had Vinnie Pasquantino on that he was going to go out to Arrowhead the first day we're at Arrowhead, and that's where we started our conversation with our VNFL insider.
Now, joining Cody and Gold.
Hey, it's a beautiful Tuesday morning, let me tell you that.
It's your 2022 VNFL insider.
Are his hands going to get any bigger?
Royals first baseman, Vinnie Pasquantino.
As a potential future Chiefs fan, we hate the Broncos.
Chris in Oakland Park, actually, it's not who's joining us currently. I hear he had a great time at Arrowhead for the first time ever. How was it?
Well, first I need to say two things before we start.
Okay.
I would like to officially apologize to all of the people of the city.
Oh.
Because I made a grave mistake on Sunday evening. I tweeted out and said Red Kingdom instead of Chiefs Kingdom. And I need to formally, publicly apologize for the grievance that I have, for the transgressions that I have done. So I officially apologize to all of the people of Kansas City, to the Chiefs players, to everybody there. I'm so sorry that I referred to you as Red Kingdom instead of Chiefs Kingdom. I will never, ever do that again.
I think you're good anyway because everybody's in a great mood because the Chiefs won. That was the time.
Time for forgiveness.
Yeah, if you were ever to make a mistake, that game and the weekend was it because everybody's in an A+ mood right now, ready for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And the second thing I need to say is thank you to both Cody, Alex, Nick/610 Sports Show, Steven Spector, and Allison from the Odyssey sales team for taking care of me this weekend. What an unbelievable time. Arrowhead was rocking. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And we're rolling to Arizona next week.
Okay, so what's your plan? Before we talk about what happened in the two games as our VNFL insider, what is your plan? I feel like it is a rare case that everyone's going to be sitting in Arizona with the Super Bowl up the block. Are there a group of players planning on getting to the game?
I have no idea. I've talked to a few guys about it. Phones are in use, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm working on it myself. Everybody's just trying to figure out. It's the biggest ticket in town, and we're trying to find a way to get some.
I've thought about a good idea. I think Grinke should just pop for everybody. I think Grinke's made the most money on the team. I think Grinke should just buy for everyone.
Welcome back, Zach. Here is your price of admission. I doubt that will be happening. But, hey, you never know. It's a crazy world that we live in.
Maybe just feeling generous. He's getting towards the end of his career. He's just like, you know what? I want to do this for all these guys.
Yep. I don't know if I'd be somebody he'd purchase a ticket for, but, hey, you never know. I'm sure he has a pitching staff to take care of. He's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, now, Vinny, you also, before even you went to Arrowhead on Sunday, you had quite the weekend. You were down in San Antonio. I think it was at the Alamo Dome. You were there for Royal Rumble. So you just had a fantastic weekend. How was that?
It was unbelievable. Shout out to the WWE for making that happen. There's a few other people behind the scenes that I thanked a bunch privately that I won't do publicly, but it was unbelievable. It was a first-class treatment, car service, that kind of a little bit of the backstage. It was just It was unbelievable. It was definitely a really special weekend, and I'm just a very, very lucky man.
Vinny, what did you think of Arrowhead the first time? I think it's one of those places. It's got NFL lore to it, right? People say it's loud. People talk about those things from the outside, but actually being in the building for the first time, what did you make of it?
Yeah, so you're right about that. It's like a myth. Like the Arrowhead is just one big giant myth, I think, just of how loud it is. I mean, it's the loudest stadium in the league, and so I don't think there's any way to actually prepare for that. I really don't know how opposing quarterbacks get play calls off. I really don't understand how they do it. I understand that they train it, but I don't understand how, especially in the shotgun, they're able to communicate at all. It's just definitely a really special game, and it was the fans are hilarious. There was one guy in the section that I was in there was one drive where the Chiefs went 3 and out and they threw the ball times. It was in the first half, and one guy near me was calling for Andy Reid's job. He called him a few explicits, called him large, and said that he should be fired because of that. And I would probably make the case that he should not be fired. so that being at a beat is really cool.
We've made you pay more attention to Chiefs football this year. What's been the most impressive thing about following the team this year in them getting to the Super Bowl?
I think just how impressive they are. I mean, they're just so good. They're so good. And being led by 15 and 87 is just really special to have. And coming from somebody who is working on being a Chiefs fan and follows another team, that's really special. And you guys are in a really good spot. I think it's really funny. I'm not sure in a good or bad way that I've seen a bunch on Twitter of like people who cover either the Chiefs or the game of football or talk in Kansas City taking a victory lap around the city of Cincinnati pretty much. I know there was a lot going on. It's just really funny seeing like the victory lap everybody's taking. We're all happy that the Chiefs came out with a win.
Yeah, I was curious how you saw that because we know the Chiefs for the most part leading up to the game kind of just kept their mouth shut while Cincinnati and their mayor and their players were opening their mouth and obviously very confident to a point of being arrogant, I would say, heading in. And then after the game, we obviously know the Chiefs players were well aware of everything that was said, and then Kelsey and just go down the list of players were quick to point out everything that was said. As an athlete, I'm just curious, like, how do you block that out? But deep down, you still know everything that's being said.
Yeah, I think typically the way that I do it is I try not to talk about other people. Like, I'm sure in my life I've had a few moments where, confidence or cockiness gets the best of me and I mention other people. But I think for me at least, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else, the best way I try to do it is just be confident in my own game and then go play the game. You never want to put yourself in a position where your back's almost up against the wall because of something that you said. That's kind of the worst place to be in because at the end of the day, you have to go perform. And if you don't perform well enough, it doesn't even really matter how well you individually perform. If your team wins or loses, that's all that matters. So, that's why certain players get away with being able to talk sometimes. I'm just happy for the Chiefs. And, I mean, Travis Kelce's line was – the funniest video was when Mahomes was giving his interview and he was, giving the Lord his praise, and then Kelce just runs in there and he's tackling. That's just a really funny representation of just kind of sports in general. And it was, it was a really cool game, and I'm just so fortunate to have been there.
Speaking to our VNFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. Vinnie, so there was a lot of talk about the refereeing in the game against Cincinnati. Carl Sheffers is the referee of the Super Bowl who has a long history with Kansas City. What are your current feelings as our VNFL insider of the state of refereeing in the NFL?
I don't care. I know that sounds really bad, and it's been a lot of talk, and I texted you about it yesterday to see if I could get a reaction, and I think I did a little bit. So all that talk was going on about the referees from the game, which, by the way, I didn't, because I was at the game and I don't know all that much about football other than just being a fan. I had no idea that really any of that was going on. I wasn't keeping track of who was getting penalties and who wasn't. So I didn't know that was happening, but I did know that you guys were already talking about Super Bowl referees last week. So I texted Cody yesterday. I said, with all this talk about referees going on, I see everybody in Kansas City's upset with the talk. How do you feel that you guys have been talking about the Super Bowl referees? And I got a laundry list back of ways that he has messed up the Chiefs before. So, I don't care. I really don't care.
I stand by that. Carl Sheffers is wrong, does Vinny? It's funny. It's all the baseball guys that I used to have issue with, they're all slowly leaving baseball. So I can't even text you about those guys anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the tough part is I'm not going to sit here and say that don't need to be better or anything because everybody needs to be at the top of their game, especially at the highest level of the sport. It is really hard. We all are aware of that. But you know what you're getting nobody's begging people to be referees. No. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's you need to be a professional. You need to do the best the best you possibly can. Sometimes you don't have it that night. It just seems as if, especially in football, there's so many different ways of, I hear it all the time. I don't know for a fact, but they hold on every play. So what makes you call it sometimes? What makes you not call it sometimes? And we're all in agreement that the last play, that was a roughing or an unnecessary roughness, whatever they call it. The guy knew it. And I think everybody kind of felt for the guy, but at the end of the day, he made a mistake, and that happens in sport. So I just hope I hope the Super Bowl goes off without a hitch when it comes to officials, and it's just two really good football teams battling it out.
Yeah, Vin, this is Carl Cheffers. This is the moment that has really prompted everybody to hate him.
There's no foul in the play for a block in the back. Timeout.
He was crying, Vinny. He was crying while announcing that there was no penalty.
Hey, man, the referees are people too, you know? They're just trying to do their job. And, you know, sometimes the fans just get on you too much and you just need to have a good cry. You know, hopefully in the Super Bowl, I mean, you've got Philly fans and Kansas City fans. I don't think his job's going to be very easy with those two fan bases. And, you know, I'm just excited for Carl to get back up on the horse and see what he's got during the Super Bowl.
Vinny, when's the last time you cried? I mean, you talking about Shepard's like, do you have a good cry every once in a while?
Cry every day. You know, try to laugh, cry, and what's the other thing?
Live?
Live. Yeah, you know, I just try to show my emotions in any way possible at any given time. So, like, God, when was the last time I cried? That's a really good question. Maybe, you know what? Not to sound like it, but I think the day that I got engaged, I cried. That might be the last day.
There you go.
You know what? Play this back for your fiance later. That's a very good answer.
Which, by the way, she is still feeling Arrowhead as we speak. I told you guys that yesterday. I don't know, like if you were at the game at Arrowhead on Sunday, and maybe there was a sickness going on through Arrowhead, but she's still feeling it right now. You know, she's in a better spot. You know, things are working.
All right, Vinny, we'll check in next week. We'll talk more about the game. Hopefully, we'll see you out in Arizona. And glad you guys enjoyed Arrowhead.
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and do a live show at Radio Row in Arizona, and then we'll make our first live show happen where I'm in person with you guys.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll get Vinny out to Radio Row in Glendale. That's the plan.
Yeah. All right, sounds good, guys. I'll see you next week.
There you go. That was our conversation with Vinnie Pasquantino, and yeah, because of how everything's working out, spring training right around the corner, and the Super Bowl, of course.
And report early because of the World Baseball Classic.
So some of those guys are going to be out there. So yeah, I think we'll have Vinnie Pasquantino join us at some point next week from Arizona. Live on site. It'll be the first time we've typically just done the phone. It'll be nice to have that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Remember, he was supposed to come in, but then him and Nick had the spat, and then we had to squash that beef.
But that's good to go.
And now we're good.
Yeah, that's good. I think everything.
You guys have put it all behind you, right, Nick?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead for Super Bowl week.
I can't wait. Vinny on Radio Row, that's going to be a lot of fun. Do you think we can send him off to do some reporting for us? Put him to work a little bit.
I think he would do it.
He's our NFL insider. Maybe there's another job for him.
might actually have to see if we can get a T-shirt printed that says VNFL Insider, and he walks around wearing.
Get one T-shirt.
Either VNFL Insider or I think Nick said like Vintern. I think we get a T-shirt for him that he has to wear while he's doing it. Vintern.
I like the idea of everyone being like, was that supposed to say intern? But somebody added a V? No, he's our Vintern. It's different. We just add the V to any job he does here with us.
I think we got to work on a shirt. What do you think? Is he a 2X? What do we? I don't know. We think.
Oh man,
Look that. We'll find out. I think
you can't have Nick's in that text after the roller coaster thing.
Oh, you think? I think he can ask his shirt size.
I'm thinking he's like 6'4", 220.
I'm guessing that's a 2X.
That feels like a 2X situation. That feels right.
Otherwise, he's going to be wearing this tight fit.
We give Vinny like a crop top that says,
I don't think he wants to wear that.
That says Vintern on it.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. He's been getting in incredible shape in the offseason, so maybe he'd like to show off that body.
There you go. Easy enough.
We haven't, I guess we haven't followed up on that.
I noticed you didn't ask Vinny the same question you asked us and
I didn't.
And Nate Taylor.
In fairness, we covered that later in the show. And he's recently engaged. I would never do that to a recently engaged man.
Okay.
Nick pre-engaged, different.
Gotcha.
Vinny, if Nick had just gotten engaged, I wouldn't have asked him.
Interesting.
I
so
respect
even though things are more stable when you're,
I respect the engagement.
Okay.
That's why I didn't ask Vinny. I respect him too much.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I've seen the most recent line, and it still appears it's +9.
Yeah, Sunflower Showdown
for Kansas
tonight.
State. I can't believe the line moved this much. It started 5.5 or 6. Look, we talked about crazy line movement because the Chiefs, for the second straight game, started as a favorite and immediately, inside of like 60 minutes, became the betting underdog in the games in which they were playing, both in the AFC title game and now here in the Super Bowl. But tonight against K-State, they've got a 50-50 shot about beating Kansas. The only difference is it's 60-40 because it's Allen Fieldhouse. Other than that, these two teams clearly match up pretty well with each other, have similar issues with depth. So it's like one team gets in foul trouble, which both teams did the last time out. That's how you ended up in this, drag out.
Yeah, 67 free throws, I believe it was. in the first matchup. Jalen Wilson had 38 points the first go-around. Somebody else has to step up and help the guy out in this matchup for them to win. I think Kansas will win, but I like K-State to cover. I think 8.5 points seems awfully high to me. Now, look, it's Allen Fieldhouse, and we all know
You're wearing your Rock Chalk sweatshirt.
How things can get out of hand. I am wearing that. Carrington, even as a Missouri fan, complimented me. He said he really likes it. He goes, what is that? I go, it's a little Charlie Hustle. It's very comfortable. Thank you.
Nick, are you wearing Kansas gear today? No, he's sporting Washington. Big Trip McDuffy guy.
I am
there you
supporting
go.
Trent.
Okay. That's exactly what he had in mind when he put it on this morning.
Chris Peterson.
And
Marcus Peters.
Is there any other? Can you remember any other Washington football players or basketball players?
Michael Penix Jr.
There you go.
Who is that? Who's that? Like top 5 draft pick in the NBA that was a bust?
Jake Locker.
No, that's a quarterback. Yeah.
Markelle Fultz.
He's still rolling.
I don't think he turned into be the somewhere he was drafted player. I like that this trivia contest of name Washington athletes.
Really fun stuff.
Thrilling way to end the show.
We're back at it tomorrow from 10 to 2. Up next, C-Dot on the Drive.